me too.
Okay. So since we're doing a little interview and try to make a little documentation for your kids, your family, loved ones, people that maybe don't know your story, could be even friends and other people that was it with you in the military or just have known you through your walks of life and travels and all that
Hmm.
stuff. Just to have some kind of recorded document of from your voice from the person that lived this life, you,
Yeah.
So to just dive into it and just ask, as far as your career in military. Actually, I'll even go back before that. You grew up uh, in Coleman, Texas. Did you even tell me about that? Growing up as a kid, being raised by a great mother and a bunch of other siblings. How was that for you?
I'd say it forged the way you think. I often in the life people say, "Hey, you seem pretty well grounded. Your parents did a good job of raising you." They claim that when we got you, you were already as a young person uh, mature about the process, whatever the process was, whether it was working, doing yard work, whether it's doing farm work, whether it's doing rock slate, to do decking in somebody's house, delivering a newspaper. It was always you played for keeps because you were taught if you do a work, you're representing a line of people, not just yourself. And I think in the early days, when I was told by this one white lady, we were doing her yard, and she had a comparison. She had me, she had Gerald, Nathaniel had been through there. So the lady just told me straight to the face, um, you're lazy. I took offense to it at first, but then after talking to my mother, I realized the lady is right because she has something to compare it to. And be quite honest with myself, yeah, I was lazy. But it takes moments in life like that to wake you up to what the bar is. You
Mm.
below the bar, your standards should be here based on who you are. I gave you an opportunity, and you let me down because you were nowhere compared to the others. So then I start taking it a lot serious. So that is the foundation. The other foundation to it all was, of course, church, and then I think secondly, the more profound thing was Boy Scouts, going all the way from little Webelos all the way up to say you're Eagle Scout. It
Yeah.
is it it was a is a not just to be prepared, but it was also an attitude like some others have in society, where if I don't do it, who else gonna do it? Because you got the skill set. So why depend on somebody to do something and take action on something when you know they probably haven't had the opportunity or they haven't honed those skills. So those are the things that shape you. Um, I think that's the size of it, and then the community, the sense of it. I,
Coleman in general is
Coleman in
small.
general is small. You have in the country population 7,000, but again, as I told people, I don't think the population was more than 4,000. I think they're counting livestock because it wasn't really that many people there. But the people that you did have there, growing up in America, you have good people, you got bad people, you got racist people, you got people that love you. And from what I found growing up, even going to college, I thought, I'll just go to work, I'll just do something. But I never thought go to college. But it was a white lady I had did some ranch for, work for, Duty Knox. She's the one who said, "Hey man, I'll fill out all the papers." She came by, talked to mom, and said, "Ma'am, help Kerry fill out all the paperwork. My daughter is graduating with Kerry. She's heading off to wherever, Yale or whatever they do, because rich
Mm-hmm.
folks do that." And she set me up and she asked me what I wanted to do. Well, of course, when you're growing up, you got a lot of ideas, whether it be, but it's still from the Boy Scouts, the foundation there, and the service of others instead of service of self that you get from church. I said, well, firemen, policemen, basic stuff that boys say who have a little
Right.
testosterone. And so she said, okay, well, cool. I said, well, also mechanics. When I threw that in there, she said, well, hey, I'll set you up with TSTI in Waco, Texas State Technical Institute in Waco. So she did the paperwork. I got in there basically free. It was all grants because,
Mm.
mom and them was dirt poor. So I didn't have to pay student loans like, say, my children would have to pay now if they go to school with me. Um, she did the paperwork. I got accepted, and I went in there and started turning wrenches in automotive technology, which of course, automotive technology, you're gonna deal with gas engines, diesel engines, and then you kind of branch out to the way you want to go and specialize in. And so I never got to that point. I just got to the point to where you could graduate just in as an ASC certified mechanic.
Okay.
But of course, you have to go as a journeyman out in the industry for like 6 months, and then they give you your ASC certification because you had to have the education back with the experience. Those two coupled, you make it. That's how. That's I think what did it for me. Church, first, community, and that includes mother, father, all the people around you. Because back then, anybody could whoop you. The teachers in school could whoop you.
Yeah.
I mean, they would give you paddles. So, and then if you got whooped by neighbors or teachers or folks in authority, you get home, you get another one. So the whole community raised you. So I think that what you see sitting here is a culmination of many different diversities: Hispanic, white, black, Native Indian, putting hands on you, even if it's hands by word,
Right.
to get you to act right and be a productive citizen in society.
Interesting. What jobs did you have prior to going in the military?
Oh wow. The easy ones, yard, which that could be leaves, that could be raking them, removing them. You're talking about mowing. You're talking about edging, doing deck with real rock, not the tile. I learned the tile when I got in the Navy, but real floors with stone, because that's what a big ranch houses. You know, the $1 million hitters. That's what they were putting in there, and all out in the burn area where people would be by the pool. So doing that, hauling hay, which was hard, and it was very hard playing Texas football and then watching alcoholics and bums throw more bells than you. They were strong. There's a difference in work muscle and gym muscle.
Right.
Found that out. Jobs like that. If I think about it, I know I did a few more. Broom weed. Back when brooms weren't made with plastic, it was real straw, like people put in their mouth, like straw, like old Huck Finn movies or something.
Yeah.
There's a plant that's out there that grows. You have to pull that up, and those brooms used to be. It looked like it was a pretty shiny, like brown kind of straw that hung down from the broom, and you have to go pick that so that somebody else can make that broom. But now it's all done with plastics. When you go anywhere, I don't care, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, your local community, it's all plastic. But it was a time when there was somebody like me pulling the broom weed, and they would send it off to a factory, and the factory would make brooms.
Wow.
And so I did that long before the Navy. Then my senior year in high school, I went and worked for Zoicon, which nobody knows the name, but they're the guys who make the flea and tick collars for, Hertz. Is it Hearts? Hearts,
No,
flea and ticks.
Hertz.
Yeah.
Oh no, Hertz is the rental car.
Yeah, but they call it Heart. I think it's called Hearts. It's
Sounds right.
but it's close to it. And then the flea and tick collars. So I went there to work the factory because I got the jobs. You could go to those job placement places and they would say, okay, well, cool, fill this out. And then when we got something that fits you, we'll call you. They called me, I went. But when I went to the company, I worked for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. Started off dealing with the forklifts, just driving the forklift through the factories, putting packages on different shelves, coming down. And then the owner said, well, hey, on your resume, you're going to be attending TSTI in Waco. Yeah, well, for what? I'm going to do automotive technology. Okay, cool. So we got some high voltage AC. Cars got air conditioners. You could probably learn how that all works. Even though it's probably driven a little different, but it's basically the same.
Right.
We have a guy who does our high voltage AC, but he might be quitting soon. So can you go learn from him, and you can be the interim guy till we get another replacement. That guy taught me everything. I mean, we're climbing up on roofs because at these factories, I mean, they got ladders on the outside. You got to go up with this cage up there, but you going up and clicking as you go. You get on top of these roofs. all kind of high voltage AC systems up there, and I found that it's to cool the water because when you pushing that hot plastic through for the collars, it's coming out shaped, and you never know how collars are made,
Yeah.
but it's made by big industrial drums of plastic where they put, of course, the chemical in there or whatever, and you shoot it through a small like spigot, and it comes out with the shape, and it goes into water. And when it goes into water to cool, it gets hard. So then the other side, you can just slow pull it. But there's pools of this cold water everywhere in those buildings to make all that stuff. So you have to have the AC system premium to make this work.
Gotcha.
The guy showed me. Then he went to work for Frito-Lay because, of course, he was leaving. He had big money waiting on him. And he was leaving Dallas. I want to say Addison area and heading on out to Fort Worth, and then I stayed and did that work for him. Lived with Gerald at the time. Gerald was living in Addison, near Carrollton or whatever, and I stayed with Gerald for like, that little summer job, 5-6 weeks, and that was a good experience, and to get feedback from the companies. And so then you're picking up little things and enjoying the life, thinking that you're on top of the world.
What'd you do when you left there?
Once I left there, of course, went on to TSTI in Waco, started down there. Mama gave me $50 and a Bible and was like, hey man, good luck. You know how she is. And then went down there to Waco. But before I went to Waco, again, from working and doing what we do, I already knew growing up poor, you're going to have a way to eat when you get where you're going. So weeks out, I had been driving to Waco to TSTI area to try to find a job. So Montgomery Wards was down there. I left that part out early. I had worked at Montgomery Wards with Claretta in the automotive section where you could get commission for selling parts. Like if you come to the shop's window and you say, hey, I need a battery, I need shocks, I need brake pads, whatever, I could sell you the cheap or sell you the expensive one. If you had gift of gab mouthpiece, you could talk people into getting the expensive stuff they probably didn't need for the raggedy car they had outside, but I'm getting a commission off of that. And I was young, so then I took that and went to Montgomery Wards down there in
Did the same thing.
Waco and did the same thing. And the only reason I went that route with Claretta is because I was complaining in my junior year when I went to Dallas about working at Sears for the summer, because we always had to go somewhere and work for the summer. And when I was at Sears, on your feet all day, looking at barcodes and putting stuff on shelves, pulling stuff off, putting it in cards so it could get mailed out to customers, I said I wanted a better way. And Claretta was like, okay, well, I'll see if you can work in Montgomery Wards. Well, prior to that, I had left Sears in Roebuck in downtown Dallas and went to work for, I want to say Texaco, or Shell, may have been Shell, as a gas station attendant, which was cool until our store got robbed. About a week into it, my store got robbed. And it wasn't no armed robbery.
Were you there when it
I
happened?
was there.
Okay.
I was the lead person. So here's the deal. I'm coming in, I'm doing a turnover. I do that. The guy that I turn over with, he leaves, but another guy had came in during that same turnover cycle, and it appeared to me, because none of us really know each other that work there. Everybody's come from different places. But he was like, yeah, I'll be on next after you or whatever, and I'm just going to grab my stuff. But what he did is he ended up, from the turnover and the closeout that I did with the other guy, and the money purse that had a lock on it is in the back room area, and we're finishing up our inventory stuff. This dude took that. It was about 50 grand in that thing.
Wow.
So of course I go, they do a polygraph downtown Dallas on me at the corporate headquarters, and then they figure it all out that it wasn't me based on the camera that was in there. They know the guy, they grabbed that guy, and then they said, okay, a guy named Greg that knew Claretta that hired me, they say he set it up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, which wasn't no big deal, because I mean, I didn't really know money then. I'm come from the country, so it didn't matter. It looks to me like all company got plenty of money, so why are you worrying about this? So they never made it like it was a pressure on me to go to jail for being included in it all. After
Yeah.
the polygraph, they already knew that, hey, this young guy ain't have nothing to do with the shit. He only been there a week. So that's how I ended up knowing how to talk, shake hands, get a job. Because when I went out to Walmart, it wasn't doing an application. I went and talked to the people that worked there. In the back with the mechanics, everybody else, letting them know I'd be right
Walmart
down
and
the street.
Walgreens.
I mean,
Montgomery Ward.
not Montgomery Wards. I'm
Okay.
sorry. So once I did that, they already knew. Okay, this guy here, he'll be good for us out front. Of course, over the time you working and going through college and learning new things, the mechanics are now your brothers. So hey, if it changing batteries, that's too easy. Hey man, I'm gonna show you how to do this front end. What tools you gotta have when the Snap-on truck or the Mack truck come through to sell tools. You want to be able to buy this because it'll make the job quicker. Because in the book you only got 30 minutes. You want to be able to do it in 10, get paid for the 30. That's what I picked up. That's kind of where it ends right there, and just going to school, working, going to school, until the time the Navy came
Okay.
calling. But
What made you decide to even do that?
oh wow, as I think about it over years, is a culmination of events. First of all, knowing your own history, your father, your grandfather, they served. Being a part of Boy Scouts, you serve in the community. My history teacher, Mr. Popno, he was a second lieutenant or first lieutenant in the war back in the day. Because when I came up, the war I'm talking about ain't Vietnam. These are cats that served in World War II.
Right.
Those are my heroes that come through, the John Waynes of the world, the true grit guys. Of course, we had your father Earl, we got Nathaniel, we got Odell, we got Claude, we got Odell's boys about the same age as me. We all are influenced by the knowledge that our family has served. So you know you're in a culture of service, teachers serving. And it was just one of those things where it made sense. But it wasn't one of those things that I said, you know what, I want to do. I think in high school when Nathaniel used to call back from Japan on the ships and stuff like that, and it has a delay in it. Like when you say hello, you could hear on the other side your own voice saying hello, hello, and then he would speak. And I thought, man, I want to see the world like him. You know what I mean? I know Odell had done his thing, but he's not as close. He's kind of far removed. You're living out in California. You're doing your thing. Earl got his family doing his thing, but the killer, Nathaniel, was the first one out the door where I could see it. Him, Randy Ward, went to the Air Force. So you got these guys that are above you. You probably in elementary school when they graduate in high school and moving on with the life.
Mm-hmm.
And then that right there told me, you know what? Might be a possibility. But the real thing came when this girl in Dallas I was friends with, and I'm talking just friends with this fool. She lived next door to a guy that I worked in Sears Roebuck Company with, but we just kept in touch. So when I go to Robert's house, head over to Teresa, say hi to her mama, you know. She was still 18, 2 babies.
Yeah.
You know the score. 2 different daddies and all this stuff that they got going on nowadays. It was happening back then. So we was cool. Well, her cousin came over. He's a recruiter for the Navy. I said, man, I want to talk to you. And he said, okay, but he blew it off. Another time I was there, he came through, he had his whites on. I said, man, I told you last time I want to talk to you. He's like, man, I thought you grew up around here. You just one of these little thugs that just talking. I was like, no, man, I'm from the South. And I mean, in the country out in West Texas. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he knew, okay, this ain't gonna be no problem. So you ain't messing with drugs. You ain't got no criminal records, no nothing.
Right.
He's like, yeah, come on now, take the test. I took the test and I thought like, shit, what can I do? He said, well, they got something in the Intel area. You qualify for Intel. You can do that. You can do Intel photography, photo made. I say photography. He's like, yeah. He told me every time you pull in port, you get off the ship first because you get to take pictures. You know, you ain't gotta run through and be second on nobody's list. You just get on in there. I said, dude, yeah, sign me up for that. He's like, hey, it's a delayed entry because it's one of those jobs where it's not necessary right now. It's not it's a field that is already got premium people in it, so they can be choosy on how they let them through. where if you want to do something right now, we can put you in there where you can be swabbing the deck and painting and grinding all day. I was like, I'll wait. I got school I'm attending anyway.
Okay.
Well, that year went by faster than I thought on that delayed entry, waiting on that position. Well, you done signed papers, you done sworn in a year ago, but when you're out here partying, running women, and working hard, you done forgot that you signed papers. And they called me up one day, and they said, hey, you supposed to be here to fly out to boot camp, and you missed the flight. I'm like, no, I ain't missed no flight. They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, because y'all been sending letters probably to Coleman, and I ain't getting them. So they said, well, we're going to send a car down there. Either you get in the car with them or we're going to take you to jail. Yeah, I was like, oh, man. So the police, they did show up, but it was military police.
Yeah.
They had a funky looking car, everything. I called JB, Jackie Baker, my brother, and told Jackie, hey, man, I'm going to have to get out of town, and I mean fast. Would you be willing to come down here and get my car? I'll put all the stuff that's in my little apartment here where I got these roommates in college. I'll put all that in the car. And hey, man, if you can come get the car, appreciate it. JB drove down there, got it, and then headed on back to Dallas, of course. Took care of me. And I'm heading on over to the airport. Basically, that's how that was. I went, They did another physical right then on the spot, had some doctors look you over, say, yep, you good. Hey man, next thing you know, I'm flying out of DFW. And when I landed in Orlando, Florida, of course you get in a van or a bus there because you don't realize on the flight there's a bunch of y'all coming out of a great nation of Texas, heading in. And then you get on a bus and you're like, oh, I seen them dudes on my plane. All of us look like regular Joes. You get to boot camp, you sign in, do all your paperwork, and then of course, they start cutting that hair. They ain't wasting no time.
Gone.
And that was during the time where Orlando was the only Navy boot camp, because we had three. We had San Diego, Chicago, and Orlando. Orlando was the only one that had processed females. So instead of going through like Nathaniel and the others where you got two male companies side by side going through to graduate at a certain time in the future, in this case, you got a sister company. So you got the males, and they all live in different barracks, and the females. So company 215 was me, and I had a senior chief, which is unheard of nowadays. They got E5, E6s pushing boots, but I had a senior chief and a chief, and they were nothing nice. I mean, but to me, it was like Coleman. They talked like people didn't give you a medal just because you played a sport. Right. You had to do something. Well, this was the same caliber of men. I'm telling you, when you messed up, they made you hurt. I mean, something simple as putting your hat on, your cover on, the little white Dixie cups you put on. I remember one day I'm trying to do what I seen in the pictures. I put that thing to the side, you got to have some swagger with it. Yeah. That redneck chief, the white boy, he was like, hey, you square out of the way. You ain't no fleet sailor yet. I'm like, oh, so that's it. I got to be fleet. So what is fleet? They're riding ships. He was like, hey, sailors belong on ships and ships belong at sea. I'm like, that's my fate. That's when it dawned on me. Oh shit, I'm in the Navy. And they're going to take this thing, I'm going to stay at sea forever? Like, where we doing some Popeye stuff here? You don't ever know.
Right. And what year was this, you think?
Man, this was in 88.
88, okay.
1988. And I went through, didn't roll back. I saw what it meant. If you go back, you just stuck in this institution longer. And I could see the people who came back to our class, they looked like their spirit was broken. And if it wasn't, it dang sure broke when they had to go back again. And over simple stuff. So that's when you realize that all of us are created equal. We all got 10 fingers and 10 toes, but we ain't all created equally. Some people just can't do what others can do. Me the same. I can't do what others can do in front. And I guess the proof is in the pudding, not a color thing, but it's a human being thing. The first day of swim, they got Navy SEALs out there, and they're asking for volunteers. I don't volunteer because I don't even know what a Navy SEAL is. So it came time to do the swim, and when I get up to the platform, because Baker, the letter B, for some reason my name was first. I'm first in line. So when you in boot camp, you don't get to look left or right. You just straight. When they say right face, you do your thing. You get ready, go to the platform, carrying out the instructions quickly, willingly, and correctly. No looking aside. I go get on the platform before I put my foot up there. One guy was like, "Up, can you swim?" And I thought he was asking because it might be a safety issue. I didn't know it was a deeper meaning to it. But Coleman, yeah, man. I said, yes, sir. I'm from the land of the lakes. We got plenty of waterways. We got rivers, creeks, down through hollers. We got, lakes. We jump off bridges, highway bridges, down into the rivers and stuff. He was like, okay, you got to do a backstroke. You got to do freestyle. And you got to do another one. I was like, I didn't know the names of these things. So I said, show me by hand what you mean. And he was like, this one is going to be your freestyle. Then you're going to do your backstroke. You can either do it like this or you can do it like that. So I got that. Then he said a side stroke. I'm like, ooh, that'll be a little different. He said, just put your hands forward like that, kick your feet, and then do like that. And you got to do it each way. You're going to do 4 different techniques. And then, because you had to do the breast thing too. And then you're going to float for 5 minutes. I said, wow. On your back? He was like, no. You got to sit straight up in the water and you got to tread water. That's what I mean. So I said, okay. Well, I kind of got dense muscles. I thought okay too till it came. But you jump off that 10-meter platform, you go in the water, and then you start your business. You got to start swimming right away. Well, anyway, I get up there to the platform getting ready to jump off, and you get a chance to look around. And I see down at the end of the pool, in the kiddie pool, in the 2-foot pool, it just looked like Africa down there. All black people. And I look back and maybe it was one other black person in line. And the classes back then like 120. So you got about 30 black people down there, all white people in the line getting ready to swim. It may have been one white head down there, but that's when I realized, oh, he's saying black people can't swim. That's why he's asking me if I can. And I'm like, well, he's justified. When I look down there, he's trying to make sure the boys that's over here with these diving tanks don't have to come get me. So and now I got something to prove. So when I hit that water, you could see the black folks looking like, man, who is that fool? He ain't gonna make it. I hit that water, I swam, made it to the end. You could hear him saying, go, man, go. I came back, went back, came back. And after that swim, when your chest is full of blood in your legs, now you're going to tread for 5 minutes before you get out of here. And so it seemed like an eternity waiting on that whistle to blow.
Wow.
And then he blew that whistle, man. I came out of that water. You could see the looks on faces, like especially my black company commander, which they call them drill instructors, but it's the same thing. He all bearded up like I am now, because the Navy allowed that back then. And he looking hard too. He from the country. He was like, shoot, yeah, had a little tooth. He was like, yeah. He was like, he was looking at me, man. If you would have messed up, I was gonna tear you up. You know what I mean? But you can see the pride in him, like, yeah. Because it looked like they had bets. Because he went over to them white boys. It looked like they had bets on it. Like, yeah. So,
you buying.
Yeah, you buying tonight, man. I told you young blood was going to do it. And so that is that part of the boot camp. Of course, you graduate and then they tell you where you're going to go next. And I went from Orlando, Florida to Pensacola. Back when Pensacola was #1 in the nation in football, because Emmitt Smith and all them people come through there. I get to Pensacola, and that's my home for another 8 weeks before heading off to the fleet. And you got to do quite well in class. Well, I didn't know that photography was math heavy like that. The prisms, the things, the way light waves go and frequencies go. It's a lot to photography, but you don't see it if you just watch television or someone talks about it. But it was math intensive, and I graduated kind of toward the bottom of the class there. And so I wanted to be toward the top so I could get what I wanted. And what I wanted was a ship on the West Coast, so I could end up heading out that way to see those lands that my brothers had seen. But I did good enough with I think it's just the effort. And they can see, like, this is the kind of guy we probably need on this platform. They gave me the USS Carl Vinson, which is a CVN, a Nimitz-class nuclear carrier. So I never heard of Corvettes. I heard of the Nimitz. You know, I done heard of Enterprise, stuff like that, because of television stuff, the Midway, from the Battle of Midway and all this. But when they gave me the name of the command, I was kind of pissed off. I'm like, man, I told you I wanted to go out to California IA area and get on a ship. They're like, this is a ship, young man. You heading off into the San Francisco Bay. I'm like, but they didn't say San Francisco when they first told me. They said Alameda, California. I'm like, I don't know where Alameda is.
Right.
I definitely don't know it's near San Francisco and Oakland. But once they explained it, I'm like, okay, yeah, you sending me into where it's real, you know, where they got, you know, all kind of beauty. They got rap artists. I'm thinking on a child's level like that. Okay, it's going to be a tight town. I'm going to go have a good time. I came back home from Florida. You know, that's when Mama was there. I made sure I spent 3 or 4 days with her, and I met up with a guy named Sean Halligan. He had his Jeep, but he was coming down from Colorado, and we would meet in Mexico right after El Paso, and we'd drive on to California, just so in case car problems or something. Okay. And went to San Diego. He was heading to spec war training to do SEAL training, BUDS, basic underwater demolition training, and we slapped out. And I drove on up from San Diego to Alameda, California. Got to Alameda and didn't know what to expect. But when I parked at the parking lot, I heard guys say, "Hey man, if you're not an officer or something, you got to park way back there." I'm like, man, that's pretty far back. But the ship was so big. I never seen a ship that big before. I'm like, man. I was looking over at the USS Texas, USS Arkansas, thinking, well, maybe that's where I'm supposed to be, because this thing here is so big. It's look like you playing college ball now. You playing pros. This ain't for somebody like me. But I went and parked the car, got one bag, brought it to the guard shack at the front on the pier. They looked at it. They looked at the orders. They was like, okay, going up. And they called up, say, hey, somebody's coming for operations division. And man, I get to the top, don't really know what you're supposed to do, but I remember in boot camp, you got to salute the flag, you got to salute the officer of the deck, and it was just like they taught us. I went on board, they was like, stand right here. Somebody came up looking rough, and it was Mr. Nardone. It was a warrant officer, a warrant 4. That was as high as you could go back then before they come with this warrant 5 stuff. But man, he looked like he should have been working on oil rig or something, man. He wasn't dirty, he was clean, but he just looked tough. He looked rough. Still had food in his mustache, looking hard. I'm like, oh man, he's like, yeah, grab your trash. This guy here is gonna show you where to go. We start at 06. I said 06 for me tomorrow. He's like 06 every day, son. 6 to 6. That's when we used to work 12 on, 12 off. Don't matter what. And I'm like, dang, so that means get up at 5, but I've been used to getting up at 5. Just came from the training. But I'm gonna work. I didn't know a 12-hour day was possible every day of your life. So that is how my adventure started, and how I got from, you know, Texas to Florida and over to California to start the Navy adventure, and the reasons why, and all the people that influenced that got me there.
Okay, so that was your first duty station there in Alameda. How long were you there?
I was there for about 2.5, 3 years. Of course, you're doing deployments because, again, sailors belong on ships, ships belong at sea.
Right.
So by the time I left California, I had seen everything from, you know, Alaskan area all the way near Russia, because we had to go do, you know, operations up there. Korea, Japan, Singapore, Australia. You hitting all of that.
All that.
The entire time that you are a West Coast sailor. And so after 2 deployments, the ship needed to go in to be refit for overhaul, to be cleaned. So you have to go to a shipyard in Bremerton, Washington. So the one ship ended up having 2 different home ports, because we had to go to Washington to clean that ship up, refit it with new tech and everything else. And that was a 3-year run, but I never had to deal the whole 3 years up there. My first enlistment was 5 years at sea, 2 years ashore. So when I signed up, I was on a 5 year run immediately. There was no 2, 3, 4 like normal people. To take the intel slot, I had to sign up for 5 right off the rip.
Okay.
So again, you think about that when your ID card has more time on it than you spent in high school. And so in the time of that 5 years, I was in 2 places. And when I was getting ready to leave Washington, the same Italian, the Mr. Nardone with the beard that got me at the quarterdeck 5 years or 4 years prior, he was retiring. And him and a redneck named Moffett, Lieutenant Commander Moffett, were the two guys that took a liking to me. Always a kind word to say, always motivation. And when I say kind, I ain't talking about how you doing. They talking about you need to go harder. You need to put out. You need, yeah, that's the kind word they were giving. It was no kind of oh, I'm gonna give you a hug because you so nice and you cute today. No. It was like, hey, whenever we call Baker's name, we know he gonna come to it and he gonna get it done because he's competent. They're the ones who taught me, and another guy from West Virginia, hillbilly, real hillbilly, moonshine kind of hillbilly, Chief Rick Adilla, that were pushing. Because Chief Rick just had to be honest and say, hey man, you and me, we alike. And I'm thinking, no, we ain't that alike. I'm out here, I'm living flashy, I'm chasing women, I got nice cars and stuff. You just living on the ship. He was deeper than that. He was like, the work you do, he's like, you're going to be a lifer. You're never going to leave the Navy. I'm like, nah, you got me mistaken. He's like, no, you put all that shit you got going on aside and how you the black messiah, because they used to call me that on the ship. You put all that aside, I can tell by the work you do, because you give a flip about the work. So you're never going to leave it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I thought, nah, he don't know what you're talking about. He kind of sick. Chief Rick is the one telling me, hey man, I know you off at 6 and they got the night shift coming on. He said, my advice to you is always work through the night shift, at least half of it. Go to midnight. I'm like, now why would I do that? He said, because then when you asking them what they need you to help with, you learning their jobs and you're going to master their jobs. Then you can take the whole thing. I'm like,
Hey.
And then after a while, about 2 years later, every time somebody came to that shop door, they always said, hey, is Baker here? It got to the point to where that was overwhelming because every time I'm the guy, I got to go out there. It ain't even my area. It's somebody else's area. But Kerry, yeah, I've been talking to him, man. It never gets done. I need you. I'm like, shoot, I got you, man. Matter of fact, when you need that done, they tell me, I was like, hey, come back here at that time. It'll be done. I could go over during the day, during the night. It never stopped me because they already knew, hey, he knew what he's doing. And when it go through QA, it's going to be correct. I could knock out their stuff, come back, do my stuff, and still handle my business. But the reason why it took the 2 years to get that is because the first 9 months, when you get on the ship, you have to do something outside of your job. You have to learn the ship. So they send you 3 months TDY to the mess decks. So you can help feed the crew. So that means you doing stuff, cleaning dishes, scullery, learning how steam works, how all this comes up from the steam plant to handle your dishes, handle the cleaning of everything. And you learn how to clean all the way down from cleaning grease to cleaning the floors. You're doing it all. Making repairs if need be, because you're hanging with the engineers who coming through to do it. Then after that 3 months, after you basically bring in packages, whole packages of steaks that's probably weighing 100 pounds. I mean, 50 at least. And you got you down there 7 decks below and you bringing them things up 7 stories. It's almost like a kung fu movie where they out there with the water going way a mile away to get the water and come back. Well, the ships have elevators that can run. But what they do is they say, no, we're not going to run them because some people have gotten killed by them. So you're going to do it by manpower. And I mean, you in there with the strongest of the strong and being cargo. They'd be like, well, hey, Kerry, you're doing good at scullery and helping with the food prep and stuff, but we need strong backs for this cargo. You get in cargo, and it look just like a football team. And hey, all 20 of y'all are the ones moving this food from the freezers at the bottom of the ship and all them 7 stories all the way to the top.
Dang.
Hey, you talking about a workout, man, and then you could do it 12 hours because you done got so used to it after the first week. Your body is used to that. Then you leave that and you recognize, because of course the warrant officers, they come by to see how you doing. They see you, they be like, how you holding up? Shoot, man, too easy. Then they send you out to get qualified in the ship. You got to do firefighting schools, so you can take a fire department. There's 7 different fire departments inside the ship. You got to pick one, or they pick it for you, I should say, based on how proficient you were. If you do repair 3 forward, you okay. But if you do repair 5, that's engineering, where you got to be able to go down there. Only the elite can be a part of this, because if this thing go down, it's a nuclear plant. We all messed up.
Yeah.
So my dream after starting that first 6 months, going hard, and then of course you hold the station until you leave the ship, was to get to repair 5. I never could get there. I probably didn't show enough in the repair 3 to get that or get recognized. But then again, you learn in life, it ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
So I probably didn't get myself out there as much as I should, because I'm kind of introverted. So I probably should have been a little bit more networking, but I didn't know networking was a thing. I just thought you needed physical prowess and competence at your duties or job. I never thought like get out there and
The politics.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that, and it took years to pick up on that. So when I was getting ready to leave the ship back to that, Warrant Officer Nardone and Lieutenant Commander Moffett were LDOs, Mustangs. You know, where you wild. That's what Mustangs are. But you become an officer. LDO, limited duty officer, where you enlisted first, just like warrant, you enlisted first, and then you come over to a commission. You go from non-commission to commission.
Okay.
But the people who make that transition are called Mustangs, because you was wild when you over here partying, drinking, fighting, all that stuff. Like enlisted people had to.
You wasn't none of that though, were you?
Shh, man, come on. I was the leader of the pack. You know what I mean? That's why they called me the Black Messiah. so I lead the pack. And I was already wild. So when I came over to the Mustang thing, that was a privilege. But I got 2 Mustangs standing with me at Nardone's retirement. And I had went to Article 15 on Captain Mast like 4 times. 2 of the times they dismissed and said, okay, you just go back, do what you're supposed to do, keep your head down. We'll do some extra military instruction, some extra duty on you. But 2 of the times they sent me up. They were like, we got to take your rank. So I had to make E4 like 3 times.
So you got busted down and had to work your way back up.
Yeah,
3
busted
times?
down. Yeah, 3 times.
Okay.
First time I got it, then you get busted. Now you got it a second time, then you get busted. Now you got it a third time. So the third time was a charm, because the thing that affected me was my money. See, because they were taking it. And I'm like, man, it wasn't just the money of loss of pay, loss of rank pay. They take pay from you messing up. They call it an award. It ain't like you getting a medal award. They award you, $400 or $500 times 2. But the kicker is, when I first came in the Navy as E-nothing, basically, they only paid me, after taxes, I got like $179 a month.
Okay.
It was somewhere right in there. I mean, every 2 weeks, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Every 2 weeks. Because when you come in, it shows you get $790. That's what they're saying. Your pay is going to be $790 a month plus benefits.
Before taxes.
Yeah, before taxes. Now, you get taxes, GI Bill, all that. The first thing, it shocked me when I saw $179. Man, you short. No, you got $50 in this pay and $50 on this pay for the GI, Montgomery GI Bill, and then taxes. I'm like, man, this ain't no money. I was making more money than us working part-time out in town.
Right.
So that led me to say, well, shoot, I don't really like the Navy. I was about FTN, F the Navy. I was part of that crowd for a quick minute, but like I said, at Redneck, he's like, man, this is giving you incentive to make rate. I'm like, what kind of silly justification is that? Incentive to make rate? He said, you like the 179? I'm like, not really. He said, well, I'm going to tell you how you can make more. You study these books, and you take those tests, and you climb in rank, and you get warfare qualified, which you down in engineering, you know all this other stuff. Go back, take these books, get qualified, and no one told me that. I mean, I got supervisors that didn't tell me that. It took a chief to just in passing, because they were like gods. You couldn't just talk to them. You had to wait for them to stop and talk to you.
Right.
And he told me, hey man, you do these things, you're going to get paid. Well, that's all you got to say to me.
Tell me.
And that's why I started studying them books. Started getting my rank. But I had a nasty attitude too. You know, I was honoring. And that making E4 3 times didn't help. Then the next time, you know, I'm sitting there as E4, finally, for the 3rd time again. And I'm with my warrant officer at his retirement. And he's got his boy with him, which I work in Repair 3 because he's an engineer type. And I'm in one of his firefighting lockers. So I got my 2 mentors here.
Right.
And I tell them I'm getting out the Navy. They say, you don't want to do that. I said, shh. Navy ain't been nothing but trouble for me, man. I lose my rank all the time. I got these guys here that are lesser than me, but they telling me what to do. Don't give me that victim stuff. Here's the deal. You better than all of them. And it ain't where you start, it's where you end. They were like, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. Them guys right there, they'll be on their knees in front of you. But it takes time. Your generation thinks it's supposed to happen now. So the warrant officer took his officer helmet with the scrambled legs or whatever he had, the little gold band, on it. He put it on my head with that big old shield with the eagle and crossed anchors on it. And that thing was heavy. I'm like, man, this is nice. He's like, you feeling that? You gonna be wearing that? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, yeah. And then Moffett came over. He's like, yeah. Because back then we used to go to retirements and stuff in uniform, dress uniform. He put his on. He like, mine fit better. He like, yeah. Out of all I see from Dennis's guys, you the only one can do this. You the only true Mustang that's down in that shop. I'm like, me. And I'm thinking, these white folks supposed to be racist. But they sitting there telling me and got me hanging with them at the retirement. Don't want to let me go. But you got all these sea of white faces over here. And that's when I realized in here, competency. It pays to be a winner. Because when you're a winner, they ain't really tripping on your color, long as they can make something off of it. And it's about, for us in the Navy now, you're not making money, but you're making progress on your objectives because you got certain competent people in there. And that's when you realize really only 10% of your people are going to be the folks that hold you up. The other 90 are going to be problems. They complaining, they doing this and that. Yeah, man. Because after I lose the rank, I could tell I got weak people because they be laughing like, yeah, you used to supervise me, now I supervise you, Baker. And I want you to get the mop, I want you to do. I say, hey, I'll do all of that. But if you keep laughing, I'm going to go to your ass and you're going to be on restriction with me. That when they knew I was crazy, they were like, man, you willing
to get another Article 15
yeah.
over this.
I'm going to get you one. And so that's, and I could talk like that because hanging with the brothers that were chiefs too, especially in engineering, when you down there getting notes, I saw how it was done. When one of my black chiefs, he wasn't mine, he was in engineering, but a young sailor was talking back to him just like matter of fact talk, not nasty, like, hey, I know how this works, this is what I do, and you need to, and the chief looked at him like, I need to do what? He always kept that toothpick in his mouth. Man, he come up off of that seat with that toothpick while we was down there in the steam plant, man, and went to that kid's ass. And then told all of us that watched it, hey, y'all gonna sign up as my witnesses. Y'all seen him swing on me? I'm like, I'm street, so I'm like, yeah, I saw it. Because he looked like, if you don't say you saw it, I mean, he was cock diesel. I'm like, yeah, chief, yeah, I think that's what I saw too. Hey, man, that dude was on restriction with me. Now, I'm like, oh, that's how this is done. Okay. So you got to have the rank or you ain't got the power.
Yeah.
Now, he's wrong for going to that sailor, but back then, I'm talking about a day where there was no women on ships. Where I got told many a time, you either get hard or you get out. They wasn't talking to me as if I was soft and I got feelings. No one talked like that when it's just a sea of men.
Right.
The women were on tenders. Those are ships that take care of other ships. Like you pull alongside, you got a machine shop, somebody cranking the wheel, making a new part, then you sail off. But warships just had men on them. And if you wasn't a manly man, you weren't gonna make it. So even our punks that were flaming, looking like, RuPaul,
Right.
them cats was hard. So if you go up against them, you best realize they men. And they ain't gonna come off like no women. They might, when you go on Liberty and different ports like Thailand and stuff, you see them dressed up, you like, who's that hot chick right there? Oh, that's Thomas from the boat. He done changed up.
Wow.
Oh, he looking good. Yeah. That's how it went down.
Wow.
So I get the jokes, where they talk about sailors. Because I done seen the most Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff. But that's how it all happened for me on the first tour.
Okay.
That's it. The first tour was the foundation for the 35 years. It was just a eye opener to how the real world works, and it was just like Coleman, Texas. You would think it's something different, but it wasn't. It was about who works the hardest, who wants to win, all of that. If you complain, people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
You got to come with solutions, all of these different things. It was just men. There was no one you could go to that was nice. And even the captain was nasty to me. And when I go up there, he didn't even heard my title. I go up there for talking shit on video because, of course, we photographers, we intel, we got cameras, motion picture cameras. So I was talking shit on the video. Well, anyway, I may have hit on some wives or something. Not hit on them I may have said some things like, man, officers got the ugliest wives, things like that, It was from an event. Well, anyway, I go to captain's mast on one of them times for that, up to, for that. Fighting for some money, but I ended up on multiple charges. I had made E4 a while back, so no big deal. You have to make E4 to get paid once you get a warfare designator. I worked my ass off for that warfare designation, and once I got the warfare designation, you're supposed to get an extra $50 a month. Well, anyway, it didn't come. So I go to the dispersing cage, because back then we used to get treasury checks. There was no direct deposit in those days. And I asked DK2 E5, and I'm an E4. I asked him, hey, because he controls the pay records from A to say D or A to F. So I have to go and call for this guy. I call for him. He tells me in a nasty way, hey, man, you're not getting no more money. We already sent the message traffic. Cleveland will tell us when we can give you the money. I'm like, but you see it on paper, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I got so hot-headed with him. I told him by the way he talked to me. I said, you know what? Because he just blew me off in a nasty way, and I don't like that. So I said, when you come out here to eat on these mess decks, man, I'm going to go to your ass. So DK1 Page, the E6 comes to me, because he's my Liberty buddy. We go out in town and party, and he come out the door. He like, Bakes, man, it really ain't on Jan. I said, yeah, but the way he talked to me, man, I can't let it ride. I don't know why, what kind of sickness I was on back then. But anyway, when he was at the mess decks eating at lunch, sure enough, I come through there. Wasn't expecting to see him, but when I did, I knew, hey, man, I told you what I was going to do. Man, I went to that dude's ass while he was sitting at that table. He had his E6 right there, everything. And lo and behold, E6 from Intel catches me, Tracy Haynes, which I got a lot of respect for this big-ass dude. I mean, he was like a big Viking. But he was nice. He had the nicest voice. I don't know why he was so nice, but he was just nice. He was like, Kerry, come with me, man. You got your ID card on you? I'm like, always. He's like, come with me. Took him to the Macedon, which is a police station. They take the ID card, write me down, say, hey, you go in the mass. We was going to come get you anyway for some other charges, but we got you now for sure.
Damn. Oh, shit.
Yeah. So when I get up there to the captain, and this is the last time I went to mass. The last time. That's because in that world, they mean what they say. And this is what that man said to me. He came, we standing in ranks. Arthur Ochoa is next to me because Arthur is up on the video issue. I'm up on the video issue and fighting on the mess decks. Check this out. The captain comes through. He says, so you boys are sending videos. Y'all think y'all are Hollywood producers and you like to fight. Yes, sir. Okay, ain't no need to lie. Captain come through, grabs neckerchiefs, them little ties and black ties that come off your Cracker Jacks. He pulled Arthur's. Arthur was so dressed, so perfect in his uniform and immaculate with the uniform. he pulled his stuff didn't even move. He was like, dang, that's tight. He did mine and it moved. That means you didn't tie it correctly. He's like, you don't even know how to tie next shift. I'm looking at an E3. Let's go to work, boys. He went and got behind that counter. I'm like, oh man.
Drop you 2 ranks.
Man, I thought he was gonna drop me all the way to E1. If he could have, he probably would have. But Arthur, when they were asking him questions, Arthur just wouldn't speak. He just had that LA thing with his head like this. Like, hey, Simone, they say he wouldn't say nothing. So he already knew, okay, I'm gonna not only bust you down, I'm gonna kick you out. Yeah, man. I didn't even think they had that much power, but when the ship pull away from the shores of the United States, they are sovereign. So they can get you out. So he looks at me and he said, Baker, you know what you did was wrong, don't you, son? I said, yes, sir, I do. But I didn't expect the film was gonna get out. I said, I think I've been set up, Captain. He was like, what kind of shit is this? I said, Captain, that was between us girls right here. It had nothing to do with getting out to you and the ladies. And I apologized to him about that. Well, what about the fighting on my mess decks? I said, well, he owed me money and I wanted it. And he talked nasty to me. And so I went ahead and I put these on him. He's like, oh. He said, I hear about what they call you around this ship. I said, what's that? He's like, Black Messiah. I'm like, he's like, you ain't no Black Messiah. You ain't no Messiah. You ain't got no leadership. Just start screaming. Yeah. I'm like, oh, because they don't like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool street name. Got street cred off of everything. He said, I'm going to go on and bust you down. I'm going to keep you. But he said, hey, Baker, before you leave, son, I want you to know, there are 30,000 unemployed people in Alameda. I see you again, it's going to be 30,001. I said, well, you ain't going to see me no more, sir. He's like, shit, very well. Cover. 2. Dismissed. Hey, man, and they never saw me again. I took his words, meaning not just him, but this is the type of stuff no leader wants. And so from then on, I just kept a clean nose, or I should say I just didn't get caught. Before, I didn't care about getting caught.
Yeah.
This time, I actively try to keep within the lines of, okay, if I think this is going to mess me up, then don't do it. And I had to fall back to the redneck from West Virginia who let me know, son, you good, you valuable, you're the best guy that I have. But you got a switch you got to learn to turn on and off. And the best way to control and govern that is before you take action on anything, ask yourself, would my mother and father be proud if they see me acting this way? And that right there, I already know you the type of person. These words are for you. That if your mother or father saw you acting this way, would they be proud of your action? He said, and that right there will get you all the way through this system. Said, just go with that every time.
Right.
I said, okay. That was the first command. I didn't want to stay, but again, after the warrants put their thing on my head, it's all the way that they all working in unison to try to keep you. They try to keep the good people. I'd like to say that I was that, but they show it. The proof is in the pudding. So Chief Riccadilla, being that he was a chief, he took me under his wings and said over the last, 3 or 4 weeks to get me to sign. He's constantly around me. I'm showing my skills, showing this and that. He's always there. He's always covering me. When I had to do my punishment for the loss of rank and extra duty, he was the guy always making sure that his engineering buddies or his deck department buddies, the guys who handle the big anchors and all that, right, they would come get me. Because he wanted me around the true grit, the guys who were not sissified. Well, he knew they're gonna work you hard, but they're gonna talk to you like you like being talked to, like we not women here.
Right.
And then you resonate with these type people. And then after that, he let me know. He said, yeah, I remember our conversation with you and the warrant and the LDO, that your whole thing was you so far behind and you didn't believe you could do chief or officer because you're so far behind and all your colleagues have moved on to be E5s going toward E6.
You didn't see what they saw.
No, I didn't see it. And so he just let me know this is something. What I'm doing for you is trying to get you to re-enlist because you can see what the capabilities really are. Right now, you kind of in this world and you think this is it, this ship, but it's not. You owe this shore duty. And what I want you to do when you get to shore duty, I need you to go to college. I'm like, man, I don't want to go back to school. But he said, listen, I'm gonna put you down for Hawaii because that's 3 years. Anything outside continental U.S. is 3-year DOD tour. You need that much time. This 2 years shore ain't gonna work for you. He said, if I give you San Diego or something, you'll be on the beach for 2 years, but you'll be right back on the ship. I need some extra time and I need you to go to college. You already have some schooling in your background. Maybe those credits can fall over and then you could do 3 years and get a bachelor's in that time. And then you'll be set up to be like Moffett and Nardone. I said, okay. So I went on out there, but I thought like, I'll blow him off. As soon as I check out, I ain't worried about it. But see, when I got to Hawaii, I left there in March, April, made it to Hawaii.
What year?
That was in 93. I went from 88 to 93 on the ship. Mm-hmm. And then in 93, in March, April, I landed in Hawaii. And I was going to Ewa Beach, Naval Air Station, Ewa Beach. It's on the island of Oahu. Oahu is where the city of Honolulu is. Yeah. So on Oahu, instead of going toward Honolulu, it's back over here in the area that's kind of flatland, for the airports. And then on the other side of Diamond Head and the rest of it, you got Kaneohe, which is flat, where the Marines have their air station. Mm-hmm. But I went to the Naval Air Station. Of course, it's our planes. Of course, near there is Coast Guard and everything else. C-130s can land there. Of course, we got jets.
Closer to Pearl or no?
Pearl Harbor is in the center, almost going toward Honolulu. Yeah. So if I said Honolulu, then you got Pearl Harbor, which is right there. Then if you come way over here, then you have, of course, Ewa Beach. And then if you go up the hill, up the mountain, then you got Schofield Barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Army. And of course, over in that Pearl area, you have the Tripler Army Medical Center, all these things. But
Hickam.
Yeah, Hickam. Yeah, Hickam is up in that fray too. So with me going there, I got with Master Chief Tibbert. He's the one that met me. But before I could go out there and meet everybody, he got down to business right away. He's like, I got a call from my good friend Rick, of course, Chief Riccadillo. And him and Chief Bix, I got a Master Chief and I got a Chief there, and both of them know Nardone, all of them. That's when I realized, dang, it is a small world. But I didn't realize that intel community I was in only had like 2,700 people. So these chiefs, the chiefs mess, they all know each other. So when I got there, they were like, yeah, they told us to take you down. Our mission number 1 today is go down there to Navy campus, sign you up in college. I'm like, oh, dang. Yeah.
They're already looking out for you.
Yeah.
Not that you wanted it.
Yeah. And I was kind of I wouldn't say ashamed, but I was kind of shocked because I had spent probably the last 5 years on a Black Power trip, Nation of Islam type trip, where I looked at all white people as devils. But God is so great. He's putting nothing but them in my path, and they ain't doing nothing but trying to help me. And I done had, plenty of black folk along the way and tried to put foot on my neck. Except one black guy, Donald Bray, he helped me out when I was on the Carl Vinson. But he could only do so much. I stayed in so much trouble. But the key was competence. And so now I have to prove myself to Bix and Master Chief that I'm as good as Riccadillo say. But when I got in their shop, their stuff was so dang lame. I'm like, man, yeah, I can do this. I run this whole thing by myself. And then, of course, another black dude comes from the Midway, Theo Flemister, and he know how to do it. So what I'm saying is the carrier sailors, the guys who work 12-hour days and stay deployed doing this all day, when you come to a shore duty where they only have to do it every now and then, they don't really know how to do it in a fast, professional way because it's so few and far in between.
Right.
Where we were doing it daily. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. It didn't take long before my shop on the base at every squadron. Hey, we want Baker. And then you realize it's the same as it was on the ship because I see the people I'm working with. They've never even been out to sea. And a bunch of them women. Again, I told you, there were no women on the boats. Unbelievable. And so then they say, yeah, they supported me going to school when they saw how I was getting down. At first, they were like, you just take one class, maybe two. After that, man, I could take 5 every quarter. They were like, man, this dude's so good. Because I stay there, and I even worked on shore duty till 12 o'clock at night. They're like, why are you still in the building? We don't even have night crew. I said, I don't need it. I can get work done, study my homework for school, and I'm hit the club at 12. They're like, when you going to sleep? I say, shoot, about 4 or 5. I might not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It all depends on what go down out there. Yeah. But burning the candle on both ends.
Yeah.
I did that. I was successful. I get close to my bachelor's in 97. And I was going to get out of the Navy. And then how'd I end up? I ended up getting rotator cuff surgery from lifting weights. After that surgery at Triple Army Medical Center, well, they put me on a year of what do they call that? Where you got a rehabilitation.
Physical therapy.
Yeah, physical therapy. And so the rehab. So I'm stuck. Regardless. Because they can't sign me off to even get out. So I thought, well, since I'm stuck, okay, I can knock this out. I knocked it out, the college, and then it turned into, okay, now I can get out and go and probably do Texas Highway Patrol, Border Patrol with this bachelor's.
What was the degree in?
In criminal justice.
Okay.
From Chaminade University in Hawaii. And that's where I met Katara's mama while I was going to Chaminade University. I finished that. And then I re-enlisted to go with VP 47 because the commanding officer, which was a commander back then, he said, Kerry, you know, I'm going on deployment. Why don't you come with me? We do some paperwork, you come with me. I could use a good intel guy with my intel shop because I only have an intel ensign, a guy fresh out of college. He can't do what you can do, and he don't have anybody under him that can do it. He got an E1 that just got to him that don't know what he doing, and we going on deployment. I said, shoot, man. Well, if we're going to go on deployment, I'll re-enlist and I'll ride with you. He was shocked. I'll re-enlist for 3 years. I'll stay with you. I mean, we all know each other, been knowing each other for 3 years on the shore duty.
Right.
So I did.
What was your rank at that point?
At that point, I was E5.
Okay.
E5. I had made it from that to E5, and then E5 to E6 is a 3-year wait window. So I would have made E6 while I'm riding with him. So it didn't matter. I got tired. I don't have a child with her yet.
Yeah.
You know, but I get on that VP 47, and then Tara calls me while I'm in Diego Garcia or Oman, one of them. I think Diego Garcia, I'm probably flying to Oman because I was flying in and out of there. And she says, hey, I'm pregnant. I'm like, pregnant? Shoot, is it mine? You know how Negroes do. And she like, man, I can't believe you asking me something like that.
Yeah. That's
when I start thinking, well, shoot, I ought to try to get me some more money now. I can't wait to make chief because my goal was to make chief, senior chief, yeah. And then I said, I need money now because this child is coming. Well, I got this degree in my hand. I got thoughts of LDO's Mustangs, Nardone, and Dennis Nardone, and old Moffitt in my head. I said, I'm going to drop me an officer package. But then I thought, no, I'm not. I'll drop it for the Air Force. So I tried to drop OTS. Air Force came back, said, no, man, age cutoff is whatever, and you'll be, by commission date, you'll be 31. So then I looked into the Navy, real tough. And Navy had the same cutoff, but they said, okay, you get 24 months extension for prior service. So I said, well, I fall in that window. This ain't no problem. But I still didn't drop it. You know how I dropped? A white dude that was E4, E5, was gonna put in a warrant package for the Army. Because back then, to be an Army warrant, you could be E4 or E5. If you're gonna fly the helicopters, because the warrants fly their choppers, you could be E4 with a degree or E5 without a degree.
Okay.
So when he put that package in, the CO called me to his office. I mean, it could have been I don't know when the boy put his package in. I mean, it wasn't my business. I got my own thing.
Yeah.
But the CO called me and says, hey, Kerry, I had Chief going through the YNC, a yeoman chief, had him going through all the records in the command and looking at the guys and gals who have college degrees. And you got one. You didn't tell me about that on check-in. I said, well, no, sir, I was finishing up. You know, he said, okay. And we was on deployment then, way out in Diego Garcia. And he says, hey, I need you to put in an officer package. I'm like, I'm thinking about it, but I said, I don't know if I won't be no damn officer. He's like, YNC, show him the pay chart.
Huh. That's all it took.
And I mean, that's how God works. Because I was already thinking about trying to get more money for this baby. Then they were like, just went to it. He went and showed him the pay chart. And he was still back there clipping, pruning, whatever he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what you think? He said, if you put it in, I'll support you. Cause I said, why would you want to do that? I mean, what's behind it? What's the gig? I mean, he said, because when I get guys and girls who excel, it makes me look good and I can go up. So by in effect helping you, I'm gonna help myself. I'm like, that's some honest talk. I'm like, well, I had cabin mask. He said, how many months ago? Is it over 24 months? He already knew the rules. I'm like, yeah, I ain't been in front of the man in 2 years because I did 3 years solid in Hawaii before coming over to you in Hawaii. He's like, okay, we're gonna drop it. Why is he helping with it? And the black yeoman, the chief, was like, shoot, he was grinning. He was like, yeah, he was helping. He was like, I'm gonna show you what you gotta do, but you gotta do it. I'm not gonna do all the work. I got my own.
Right.
I did it. And then I had to pick a community. So I picked EOD, Explosive Ordnance Demolition. I was over there almost every day swimming at the EOD site and working with their commanders and ensigns and chiefs. Over there, they knew what it was for because that community, they talking to my boss. He already know where I'm at if I'm not at work.
Right.
So, hey man, it came time to get in that water. Well, as a photo mate, being the person that I am, the CO from that unit, he's getting ready to go up for commander. He's a lieutenant commander at the time. And he wants me to take an image of him for his officer record because it goes in front of the board. So he said, I needed to look real good. I done gained a little bit of weight, but I'm still good. He's a Mustang too. So this wild boy, I get in there, I tighten his uniform up, get it crisp. I shot that thing probably about 30, 40 times. Normally only do it once or twice. Till we got the perfect picture. He gets selected on his board, but I find out later when he comes to get me, but I done been selected for OCS by then. By the time he got back to me, by the time he came to me, I told him, hey, I'm over at your site every day swimming. I ain't never seen you. He's like, who you with? Master Chief so-and-so? I was like, yeah, him and a couple of Lieutenant JGs up in there. He's like, well, when did you test? I was like, shoot, man, a couple of days. He's like, hey, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. But I didn't know what ready meant.
Right.
I thought it was the pool. Now, when I got there to do the real test, no, you're going to do it with them boots on in that salt water. So you finish your 1.5 mile run. You finish that, you got to make that in a certain time. You make the time, you're supposed to get 2 minutes rest. They didn't even give me that. They were like, hey, man, you're a warrior now. You jump in that water, you swim to that buoy. The boat's already out there. And in the boat, guys got guns. I'm like, damn, what are they getting ready for? He's like, it's hammerheads down there, so they there for you. Oh, so to the buoy and back is 500 meters. They were like, yeah. I was like, man, they don't look like 500. So if it's further than that, I'm like, you know what? That's how it is.
True, yeah.
So I dive in that run, take a dive, go far as I can, hit that water. And it was easier than the pool in that salt water. But of course you swimming, you're not looking for sharks, but you got guys in the boat steady messing with you. Oh man, we got a big one here. You know what I mean? They mess with you the whole time. You get out there, you touch it, you make your way back, you get up on the beach. And then when you get to the beach, it ain't no, well, I made it. No, you got to run over there to them poles and touch for your timer to stop. That's how ruthless they were. But that's, I guess, when you part of the elite warriors like that, they ain't looking for somebody complaining.
Yeah.
Hey, you already know. You make it there and you make it back. You took off running from here, you run, you jump off that pier, you make it there, you come back, you touch. Did that, put the package in. Of course, now that I know the commanding officer of that unit, he does a brilliant write-up. I want him in my community, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was just off happenstance. That's why I say, God, you're not in charge of your destiny. Your destiny is already written. Somebody got a hand in it. For me to meet him, do the swim, go back to him, and he's like, Bakes.
Yeah.
I drafted up here, you'll get it today. Boom. All of that. Put the package in. Man, you ain't gonna believe this here. Katara was born after I came back off of that deployment. Did all those months working up to, well, she wasn't born exactly when I got back, but a few months after. Did all of that work to get packages done, testing done, working with the communities, doing this. Okay, almost a year has gone by. That child is probably 6 months old at that point. When that package went in 10 days, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe a solid 2 weeks, they came back with message traffic. And the CO, Commander Grunwald, which retired as Vice Admiral Grunwald, so this is showing you where it's going.
Yeah.
Vice Admiral, then the Commander Grunwald, he called me up. They say, oh, hey, we got message traffic back from the Department of the Navy. You've been selected, son. And I thought, like, man, they lied to me. I haven't been there. They had rank taken and everything. They gave me the paper. And I thought, like, man, they probably doctored this up and fixed it. And then I said, well, on this paper, it's saying I have to be there on the 21st of March. That's like 10 or 11 days. He was like, yeah, son, you better pack. I'm like, I got household goods and all kind of stuff. He's like, hey, that's going to have to remain. But you got to go.
Yeah.
Man, I went and told Tara about that. And she was like, no way. I'm like, wait. And they saying I got to be in Florida at a certain time, Pensacola. That's where Officer Canada School is, like Officer and a Gentleman with Richard Gere and
Morgan.
Some I forget that black guy's name.
Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm actually heading down there, and I've been to Pensacola before for my intel photography school, but and I seen the Marines driving them guys, and I already knew in my head the image of it because I done seen months of it.
Mm-hmm.
But going through it, you don't know how hard it is, especially when they come in and tell you that, hey, we're gonna get rid of at least 5 or 6 of y'all, or our day ain't go in. We tell you that day one, the double dogs. So I don't need to pack out. Tara is there. We get married. So now she can do all of that stuff and the child. Cause yeah, all of that stuff. Man, I get on the plane and I take off, and it was like a fantasy, like I was in a dream, like this can't be real. But when I landed, you gotta make your way to boot camp. They ain't got no bus or van there to pick you up.
Like before.
No, that's right. You gonna make your way to that front gate. Hey, but I'm fleet. So now I know what it means to turn my hat to the side. Hey man, I show up, yeah, fleet. Get up there, ID card on the base, go through, get to the check-in, and that was nice. You checking in with officer candidates, that are seniors, and so they talking all nice. And I thought like, oh, this gonna be easy. Hey, you come back in 3 days, your class will start up then. We got your room over here in this barracks. Mm-hmm. So where I messed up is I'm watching nurses and doctors and lawyers go through, and the drill instructor is walking down the street, left, right, and then talking to them really nice. And I thought like, oh man, I'm gonna be able to do this with ease. Cause that crowd looked my age.
Right.
Oh no, I went with the crowd that looked like they just came out of high school. Yeah. Even though they graduated college, but they looked like babies.
Yeah.
And the drill instructor wasn't that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that a difference? I found out later, those are professional class. They're not trying to get them to drop out. They're trying to keep that elite kind of person in.
Right.
They ain't going to be dropping neurologists on the ground.
Yeah, because they could be making money on the outside.
Yeah.
They need them, man.
But in my ignorance, hey, I check in, and hey, man, it started. Well, it wasn't no big deal because they talk like we talk in the fleet. But to the average college kid, it is rude, it is stressful, so they couldn't remember what they were supposed to do. If the drill instructor says, I need you to carry this out, I need you to do this, and this, In their minds, it was stress. To me, I just carried it out. Well, anyway, lo and behold, Kerry Baker is now president of the class. In other words, I'm the guy on the outside with the sword, marching and giving direction.
Yeah.
Man, that.
Yeah.
I stayed that for 5 weeks, man,
Wow.
until I got fired. Got me a black drill instructor from Alabama. Hard. Terry, I can't think of Terry's last name. God. But he was a master sergeant. Yeah, it wasn't gunnery, master gunnery sergeant.
Okay.
I know nowadays you see like E5 and E6 leading them, but master guns wasn't no joke. So man, he was like, "Yeah, thing, you're gonna be my the leader of this pack, you know." And so yeah, I was the president. I'm the guy, and I'm sure he was like, "Yeah, I got sick, man. Somehow I got some bad stomach flu or something where I was just vomiting all the time. I missed out on one day and had to go to medical because you got to go in the morning. They ain't playing with you. I'm down for 2 days because third day, if you're still down, you get rolled back to the class behind you. You either got a choice, go 13 weeks and graduate, or your 13 week can turn into 15, 17, 20, whatever, 19, 21.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Kerry Baker, my crew, they seeing me as their leader that's down, especially all the college kids, and that's why I appreciate them boys from Duke and Auburn and all them places. They were bringing me, sneaking me, crackers, bread from the chow hall, all of that, watching over me at night, knowing they got to get up. They did that for 2 days, man. Finally, the suppository that they give you at medical to put in your rectum to stop all of this dehydration and all of this, I finally was able to walk out to PT. I made it out there. And I remember the drill instructor, he leaned over toward me. He's like, "Hey, thing, yes, sir. You knew you had to get out of bed today, didn't you? Or we were going to roll your ass back." I'm like, I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, good. And then another one, big old cock diesel, Willette, double dog gunnery sergeant, he came up. He's like, "Hey, I don't want to see no spit coming out of your mouth. I don't want to see no vomit. I don't want. Oh, you better not stop." And then I didn't. But sure, lo and behold, I was so weak that I'm back here with females now that couldn't hardly run. And I remember Willette coming up to me. He's like, "Get your ass in that van, all of you." Because they got a van with flashes on behind you. Because if you fall behind the train that's running, like maybe 50 yards, 50 meters, they stop you from running. They be like, "You making us look back, get in that van." And everybody get in that van, they're going to smoke your body when you get back on the field. While everybody go to breakfast, you still out there doing 8-count bodybuilders and all this different stuff. Man, they put me in that van. I got in that van. I was so happy to get in that van and drinking some ice water and stuff like that. I didn't care if they smoked me on that field. But that's when Gunnery Sergeant was like, "Hey," Master Guns was like, "Hey, now that you done messed up, we're going to select somebody else as the leader. You're no longer the leader of this crew here. And, you know, all your dreams of marching in the parade and doing your stuff is over with. We're going to put somebody else in charge because we can't celebrate weakness. And right now, you weak. And, of course, you got 3 or 4 other drill instructors. Yeah, you weak. Weak immune system, weak mind. Yeah, they don't they don't cut you no slack. So, yeah. At least I didn't go back. I graduated Tara and Qatar, came to Pensacola for the graduation. I was relegated to, instead of leading the whole thing, in the pictures you only see me leading like one little unit. Like you would call it like a platoon. Instead of having overall like battalion or something, I got, well, you got 3-4 platoon leaders. I got relegated to that. But that was okay, you know what I mean? Didn't know where I was. I was still in the days. Tara had to kind of straighten me out because I'm still fleet and I'm still thinking I'm okay. But you put a Mustang in this position over here, and he's been a Mustang for 12 years almost, 11 years, at least enlisted, excuse me. And then you come over. Tara had to tell me about kids saluting. Because I had a whole pocket full of silver dollars. I had to get my gunnery sergeant one and, you know, the other guns that were there, master guns is. And you're supposed to give the first salute, or salutes, every one of them a silver dollar. Well, I think about 2 guys had passed me, and Tara's like, "You not saluting these people?" I didn't
register.
Yeah, because I didn't see the uniform, the gold, and all of this finery on. I only saw myself as Kerry, and we walk in, and I'm happy. I got my daughter, and we're gonna go into the food court area of the exchange. But you walking into the exchange, but the people coming, they see your uniform. But I'm still thinking I'm enlisted. In my head, I'm not saying those are the words I use, but my subconscious never saw that you need to be mindful that other people see you different.
Right.
And then she's the one that said, you are supposed to be saluting these people back. And I'm like, I didn't salute anybody because anybody come by me. She's like, yes, they did, but you are not. And at that point, that's when I have to give these silver dollars. And every time them young folks, they A school students, these kids just graduated boot camp. They coming to learn whatever aircraft mechanic, whatever they're here to do. But boom, I hit them up. And I did it going in and going out. And it took a moment, but I got it. And then that was it for Pensacola. It was time to get up out of there. We made our way flying back to Hawaii because I got to pack out from Hawaii and get to my first ship as an officer, which was a LST. They could decommission on it. It's a flat bottom ship with a ramp that's in the front that can fall down on the beach, and our AAVs, our marine vehicles, can either roll, they can go out the back to hit the water, or they can roll off the front ramp and go right on the sand. Because that's why that flat bottom is there. It's like a oversized LCU, that we have, and we drop the front down. Well, imagine a ship that's 3-4 times bigger than that that can do that same thing.
Yeah.
Or we can drop them out the back. We can ballast down, and you can let them hit the water, and they can swim, puff they smoke, swim to the beach. So that set of orders to get me from Hawaii, because even though you're at boot camp, they don't, OCS, Officer Candidate School, they don't move all your household goods. That's just a training center. You got to look at it like that. So now you have to go back, if you're prior enlisted, to where you from,
and then you PCS,
PCS out.
Gotcha.
And if you fail Officer Candidate School and get kicked out, then you can only go back to E5. So all of the kids that were there, it don't matter if they were there from Texas, University of Texas, or Alabama, it don't matter. If you fell out, you've already signed a contract to be an E5. So you an E5 or E6 or E7, whatever you came in there as. Right. Like prior enlisted can be from E5 to E7. But the guys off the street, they're going to be E5. And then if you fell out, drop out, it ain't like that movie where Richard Gere was like, I got nowhere else to go. Yeah, we got somewhere for you to go. You go into the fleet. And you're going to be in a job that don't nobody like being in, because we need people to fill in position. But you would think, you just go home. No, you ain't going home. So knowing that if I go back to the fleet, knowing my orders are set for Hawaii, I can't go back around all them people, and fail.
Yeah.
And then they take my MOS. They'll tell me, since you failed, we can designate you where we needs of the Navy. Yeah. So I go back, I pack out. They say Little Creek, Virginia. I go to Little Creek, Virginia. Of course, I get there first. Tara comes later because she's Air Force, and she goes to Langley, Air Force Base. And so she's up north in Virginia, Norfolk area, and I'm in the south at Ever Beach. But we live up north, so she can have an easy way to base. I can come and drive that hour to work with traffic. It ain't no traffic, it's fast.
Yeah.
So I get there to that first ship. Of course, I'm dispersing officer, sales officer, because we got ship stores in there, just like the exchange.
Okay.
Food service officer, somebody got to run that. Hazmat officer, and to some degree, weapons officer. You know what I mean? Because that's bombs and bullets are inventoried just like any other supply.
So this is still part of EOD?
No. I never got a chance to make EOD. I'm glad you brought that up. I missed that. Man, okay. So 3 weeks into OCS, they come to me and they say, hey, man, you were going to be 31 by commissioning day. So we got to pick another pad. I'm like, another pad? I'm like, and this is crazy. I'm glad you brought this up. So I'm sitting in there because the drill instructor said, hey, you thing, I need you to get down to personnel right now. You understand that? I'm like, dang, man, what am I going down there for? Maybe I didn't fill out the page 2 or something. Then I get down there, they say, we got to switch designators, meaning MOSs. I said, designation? No, man, I'm good. They're like, no, you got to switch because you're going to be 31, over 31 by commissioning date. Because that's what you are now. Your birthday, February, you graduating in June. So really, you may have started out in March, but however you got here, you can't remain in this designator because the designator is 28 is the cutoff. 24 months of that is 30 or something like that. Yeah, 30 years old. So you already done passed that time in February. I'm like, well, how did I even get here if that was the case?
Yeah.
They said, well, we got some other jobs for you. I was like, okay, what you got? They're like, surface warfare officer.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I'm like, surface warfare officer. I was like, driving ships? They're like, yeah. I said, well, the cutoff for that is 28. I looked at that before I started.
Yeah.
They're like, nah. I said, man, what are the dates that I can really take? I mean, without you trying to push me where I don't want to go. Well, if you take this, there's 50,000 signing bonus and all that. I said, no, I don't want to do that. They said, okay, well, you can be a lawyer, a doctor, civil engineer. You any of those? I'm like, no. They're like, you can be supply officer. I'm like, what's that? Because I didn't even realize that was a title. Because none of our enlisted MOSs have supply. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? You got aviation storekeeper, ship storekeeper. So supply officer to me, because coming from enlisted, I would have never thought supply officer. I know supply because I see the S's on the ship, but there's an officer in charge of that. But I'm only dealing with master chiefs and senior chiefs and, first class. Right. But then they say, yeah, that S on that bulkhead for supply, there's really a guy that's a supply officer. It's supply corps. So I look at that thing. I'm like, yeah, age cutoff 35 for all of them. I said, man, I'll take supply. Not knowing that it meant banker, which is dispersing. Because you get a bundle of treasury checks, and I can actually sign checks up to $99 million per check. I didn't know that was a thing at the time. Hey, they let me know. I mean, that's how that went. But still didn't know at boot camp. When I graduated and then I left Terra in Hawaii, I'm glad you brought that up, had to make a 6-month stop in Athens, Georgia to graduate as a supply officer. So that's everything, accountants, everything. You're doing all of these courses and all of this stuff. You don't have to know everything, but you gotta know where to find it. Well, I'm Fleet. I've been dealing with books the whole time, so I made it easy through that. So easy that they said certain guys can go, the top of the class go straight to submarines, because submarine, you're a supply officer right immediately. The other guys, the other level is principal assistant, where we send you to a ship where it's you and another supply officer, and he needs somebody strong because he's got to run the supply department, but you got all these things you have to run, and you don't need to be messing it up because it messes him up and his career progression. It messes it up because he can get relieved for calls. And then you got the guys over here that they so nasty. Send all of them to aircraft carriers where you got 18 supply officers, and then they can figure their way out and they can be groomed enough to stand alone. Because if the supply officer on the small ship dies, the junior principal assistant supply officer can take over.
Okay.
So I get to the ship, I got all them things, and oh, by the way, you're going to be on the watch bill. Like, why the watch bill? I'm the supply officer. I ain't no damn surface warfare officer. Nope, but you have to stand the watches and drive the ship. Drive the ship. They're like, yeah. Man, that was the best part of the deal. Well, I was tripping. So now I'm doing not only my job, I got to drive the ship. And that's every day you're on the watch bill. You're driving that ship for, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. Even coming alongside ships doing unreps with lines going across, fuel lines and big cables with pallets on them. You got to keep them ships from coming together because the water flowing between creates a Ventura effect where it'll cause the nose of the ships to come and they can hit. So you got to constantly have the rudders kind of out just a little so that it maintains that 100-foot gap or whatever you have. So the captain on the ship always called Big Bake to the front when it come time to get there, because I'll shoot my sextants to see what my distances are from the next ship and all of that. You know, you can chart stars and all kind of stuff with all these gadgets and stuff, but when you're coming alongside, you want to be looking at where that other ship is, and then you got radar feed, you got somebody telling you your distances, and then when you come along and come up behind and get it and come in through the Ventura fit, you got to have somebody that probably don't give that much of a damn, meaning you're not scary. You do what you got to do, but you're not scary. And that's when the captain will be like, hey, Bakes, come on up. He be on the side smoking his damn Salem's, you know. Kerry, you got this? I'm like, sir, you call the best. I'm here. You called, I've come. Shoot. So you relieve your watches, you get up there, Bakes you up, come alongside. Now you don't have to tell the driver, the lee helm. You got helm and lee helm. Somebody's operating throttles, somebody's driving. You are giving orders to both of these guys on what you want to do. So if I'm coming up on a 113-degree run, my nose is, and I know I'm coming alongside, I can say, hey man, bring the ship to, 112, and that guy will just do it. And after that, we're not going back with bring this and that. We're just gonna go straight numbers. And I'd be like, hey, 110.5. 110.5I, and once it gets where I want it, we give it a little bit more gas, a little bit more juice, get me in position. Then line that thing up. And you can tell because we got guys shotguns and got flags going across, and I'm looking at my flags up front and seeing if I'm coming in, because now I got to judge distance, not by my heading, but by what's happening at the front of these ships. And then if it look like it's turning in a little bit more, I can say, hey man, bring us to just small increments. Just bring me to 110. Take the 0.5 off, and you can see if the ship kind of comes back a little bit. But other people, they get up there and they get scared, and they be like, hey, bring the ship, instead of going small increments, they'll be like, hey, bring the ship to 109. Well, it's too much. Yeah, and it starts making mistakes. So I seen them guys
like somebody parallel parking,
right,
cutting their wheel too hard.
They cut it too hard, and it might not seem like it because it seemed like you only did a little bit, but the power coming off of them, the propellers back there, it's just you got to do everything slow. You don't do nothing fast, but make mistakes. So that was my time on board there. It didn't last long on the first ship because we went off on a Unitas deployment. In the Navy, you got West Packs, you got East Coast Packs, West Pac, meaning Western Pacific. Then you got Atlantic cruises, and then you got South American cruises, where we go around the South America thing with about 8 or 9 ships.
To Panama Canal or further all the way down?
Oh no, you go through the canal.
Yeah.
On your way back, you head out from, say, if you're going from California, you go around. But I was on the ship that did it from East Coast. So we go down, we stop in Cartagena, Colombia, stay there for about 2 days, reload everything, go through the Panama Canal, salt water wash down. So we spray the whole ship with fresh water because it's all fresh water down in there. And you can get all that salt off that's causing rusting and all that to your ship. Then you come out on the other side. You may stop in Panama for a day. Then you go on over to Ecuador, Peru, Chile, then come on up the other side, Venezuela, and all these different things that are going on. But we made it to Chile. This is where that ended for us. We take off, and the year of that year was, I want to say, 2001. We end up running the ship into a mountain, underwater mountain.
Oh wow!
Yeah, imagine that. I'm surprised nobody died. So I'm on watch from 12 midnight. We call it balls to 4 because Yeah. So we go from midnight to 4, and seeing anchor details when you got to wake everybody up, get them ready because we're gonna go to the beach and drop the front down. So when we get to a certain position, we like to wake everybody up, change over watches, and all of that. Well, my watch ended because balls to 4 is really 11:30 to 3:30 because in the Navy on time is late. So your watch starts 30 minutes prior and then you end 30 minutes prior, and the other person has it at 4.
Right.
So I got relieved by Tess Grant. She came and took it as the conning officer. That's the officer that's directing the ship. You telling it where to go, how to go, all these different things. When I relieved Tess, a black guy, the operations specialist, same thing Octavius Gerald's son used to be in the Navy. Those guys are the guys dealing with radars, everything operation system. If you got to fight, they are the guys who can direct that ship, just like the captain. They back in a little cube that is locked in. You can't just bust in there.
Right.
So you might take everybody else out, but them guys inside there, they can still keep on dealing with the enemy. So he comes out, he says, hey man, we need to come to the right. I'm still up there with Tess because I'm just there for seeing anchors so I can see the beautiful land, this and that. You kind of see the outline of it in the cloudy sky. I'm like, yeah. But he came out, he said, hey man, we 1,500 yards left the track. Everybody's like, no, it can't be. These radars are saying one thing, and we are putting what the radar shows, and we're putting it into the paper map. And he's like, the paper map is wrong because our shop is wrong. The master radar is in the OS spaces. And he's like, no, I tuned it, and all of these radars were wrong. They are correct now. Man, it seemed like within 2 minutes, because they had the next group had to call the captain to change it. Yeah, because he already gave you night orders, stay between this and this. If you go outside of this, you got to call me. Well, now you saying we already outside of that.
Right.
And by the time the captain came up to the bridge, I mean, I'm there, but I can't do nothing. You got the officer of the deck, you got the conning officer, you got whole team is swapped out.
Right.
By the time the captain came up there, man, all you felt, it felt like a Mexican lowrider, man. That thing was just bouncing. I mean, something big and heavy as this. The captain got there. The bosun mate who handles anchors and all that, he was the first to pop off and be like, man, I see rocks down here. I see water splashing off rocks down here. And it was dark. That's all I heard him say. And he was like, all you heard was anchors coming out the ship. Like, wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, damn. And then a bosun in the back, because you can hear him on the radios. He's telling the chief in the back, drop the aft anchor. I'm like, what the hell? They just did this on their own? The warrant from Ohio that was up front, we call him bosun. He dropped because as a warrant officer, you are a technical expert for the captain. You may have an officer above you, but you don't work for that officer. You work directly for the captain. He don't need orders. He saw something that was wrong, man. He dropped the anchor in the front, told his chief to drop it in the back. And man, it was just like that. And his lieutenant commander, who is the deck officer, happened to be conning officer at the time, meaning he has the bridge. They all worked in unison, man. It was just like no words need be spoken. As soon as the anchors dropped, I couldn't believe I saw it. And then you heard the first lieutenant tell him, okay, all back full. I have the bridge. And I'm sitting there watching this shit like, oh shit, this is real. That's when the captain came up there, man, and when he looked over the side, hey, he started barking orders. I have the bridge, like a real G. Man, full right rudder, reverse full. Hey, man, that ship was trying to lean to pull us back because he was hoping the anchors caught you, and then you could just kind of pull back. Hey, man, he handled his business with the time he had, which is probably 30 seconds.
Wow.
And when we hit that rock, you don't really realize the ships cannot stop on a dime like our boats.
Yeah.
Like if we in the marina and we driving our little 26-foot, 30-foot little pleasure boats.
Yeah.
It was still going forward. Even with all that power trying to go in full reverse, it was still going forward. And man, it caught that mountain and boom, 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 boom. Then it starts sinking. So it got to the point to where one deck, the engineering area, was totally underwater. Lost no engineers. They got out by grace of God. And then that's when you're part of them fire parties, and mine was Repair 3. Now I got to run down to my group. and everybody got to put on a fire gear. Everybody's got to get all of the equipment that we use, the boxes, the plugs, the what do we call that to drain the systems out? It'll pull water. What do we call those things? You get them from Home Depot now. You get
Pump?
yeah, all the pumps because you got to now de-water the ship.
Okay.
And to de-water it, sometimes somebody got to go below the water line where it's a hole and plug that hole because you have these big old boxes like this. There's a stick that goes through the box on this end, but then when it goes all the way through, it bends out like that so it can catch the metal on the outside of the ship. And you crank this down, and then it secures the water because it got a rubber seal around it. When them people came up saying, man, there is nothing we can do down here, we are beyond patches. There's big holes in the water. Is just we sitting on rocks down there. So then you have to close all hatches and just de-water the part above. And that's how we stayed on them rocks, just sitting there for like 2 months.
What?
They had to send some boys out of Houston, all rig workers, to come and get the ship off the rocks.
Wow.
So they were underneath the ship after they put some big old balloon strap things, lift the ship up. And the keel was broke. The big long metal beam that goes down through all ships, it was broke. So they had to put these balloon things back here to lift that up, put some in here, and then put some close to where it wouldn't just fall off. Bring it out to sea just a little bit, stop right there with the aft and forward anchors, and they were down there welding forever. It seemed like forever, man. It was called Calisafuncho Bay. So that was done. 2 months sitting in there, and Chile offered to buy it because they had a fleet of like 3 or 4 old LSTs. They offered to buy this one because then they could take the parts. They got new engines. So it's smart on them to take it. If all you did was tear up the hull, I got parts to cannibalize for my own fleet. So when Chile bought that boat, we limped into a port. Of course, the supply officers, we were calling in all kind of contractors to come bring containers, first of all. Bring 20-foot ISOs in. Get all your stuff off. Had to coordinate which containers would take what. And we emptied that ship in that whole 2.5 month period of time. And it was just empty. The Spanish took her and, of course, removed the engines, all kind of good things you can use. I mean, something as simple as a fire axe, you'd be like, but that's an expensive piece. So they cannibalized the entire ship, then took it out and sunk it so it could be a reef. And they did some practice with it, like launching some kind of missiles at it you got a free deal to sink so you can see what your boys, your pilots can do.
Right.
We all came back to Little Creek. Now we're in a building. Everybody's getting orders to go other places. And of course, after they have the tribunals and stuff to see who was at fault, and you got to go through. And what I would say to anyone is, you are only as good as your JAG-man investigation. There is no one that can withstand the scrutiny of a JAG investigation. They're gonna find somebody to blame, and they get you. That's right.
Explain.
Judge Advocates General. It is the lawyers, the prosecutors. They do defense too, but that would be like the Justice Department in the military. And these judges, they can be judges. You'll be like, well, how can it be? Once that ship pulls away, that flag is flying on it as United States. Those lawyers who may be lieutenants, lieutenant commanders, majors, they can all be judges at that point. So they have enlisted people who can be like the legal men who do all the paperwork and stuff. But these officers who are lawyers, they now transition and they can become judges, and because it's maritime law. The captain is really the judge because he is the guy who has the authority, but he delegates in a letter to this guy.
Right.
And
what was any results of
the results was
tribunal?
the results was Baker was good to go because again the watch had been relieved.
Right.
So then they got the navigator, both navigators, In fact, Lieutenant JG and the chief, they got the navigators, they got the executive officer, they got the commanding officer. But they didn't get the operations officer, the guys who have the radars, because they came out and told you.
Right.
You see?
Right.
So it was first lieutenant, he was gone. So 6 people finished. They had to be kicked out of the Navy. There is no, I'm going to give you shore duty.
Right.
We're going to relieve you because remember, a commission is given to you by Congress. Congress signs it. So an authority for Congress is probably going to be a 1-star admiral or 1-star general, which can now say you are now out. They can speak for Congress to get rid of you. And they do worse than that. They look at your last credible, the last time that they can prove that you served honorably. So if they find stuff way back and you happen to be ranked as something else back there, they'll drop your rank back to that and be like, that's the last time we can be sure that you were honorable. They can do like that. So you think you're going to leave and get a certain amount of pay or something, they drop your stuff way back here, man. That's why you see E7 sometimes get busted all the way back down to E1.
Well, it's good that you made that you just made that change, because you would have been caught up in that boat.
God, man. And if it ain't, it's our ancestors. Somebody is moving this thing. It's a crazy timing that was associated with that.
So where'd you get sent to?
Well, after we got back, then of course nobody wanted to touch me. Because you are coming off that ship and Jack Monroe is coming off that ship. Jack Monroe was a lieutenant commander and I was his ensign, which is a butterball, one butter, just first rank as officer, which they call it, what, second lieutenant?
The Air Force.
So, yeah. So they went ahead and Jack just recently retired as a vice admiral. I mean, that tell you something. No, he's a 2-star admiral. So Jack and me had to go through, but Jack got a reputation in the industry. I just came from school. So no one wanted to touch me, man. I had to go see a captain at not Fleet Forces Command, because that's a 4-star in charge of all of us. But back then, Fleet Forces was called something else. But then it turned into like Atlantic Fleet. They would say, Atlantic Fleet, you got to go there. I go to the fleet, not by being called to go there. Jack, being a networker, he was like, man, you need to go up there and talk to the bosses, man. Show them who you are. Tell them who you are, Kerry. I'm like, okay. And I remember leaving him, and his body was just red from here down, from the water, from fighting in all that oil, and that stuff kind of damaged his skin a little bit. I was submerged in water trying to help the ship, and he was in pain. I went ahead, went on down there, saw the captains, saw some brothers in there that was lieutenant commanders, like majors and stuff. And they asked me, hey man, what really happened? I said, man, I was there, I saw it. It's just as the report says. But the JAG investigation turned that out to be, you didn't have confidence of the crew, you didn't have real leadership, mistakes were made. So now all these other people are fired because, you know, the JAG investigation made it like, well, you had a report of infidelity over here with this crew member and some over there, because they investigate the whole package and say that you wasn't right. So Kerry Baker moves on. I go see the brothers first because I got to wait until the full bird. I don't get to see the admiral yet for logistics, but the full bird was good enough. He let me know, no, we're not going no further than me. I make decisions around here as the chief of staff. He's like, Kerry, man, what do you want to do? I said, well, shoot, I got to finish out the tour. You know, my records speak for itself. I got investigated at least twice on my boat where you had, you know, the audit team come through. I say I passed with flying colors on that. I say I got no problems on paper. I said, but I need the detailer won't touch me, and they saying I need to see somebody. I hope you that somebody. He's like, well, as long as you in the Atlantic Fleet, you belong to me. He said, would you be willing to take the Trenton? We got a guy over there that can't do half the stuff you did. He said, I already looked at the documents. We get it here in the building. The people who audit you and take reports, and every time you send stuff to DFAS and everything, it all comes here because we keep spreadsheets of which ships are in the red as far as food service, stores, all these different things. He said, your numbers look good. I got a guy over here, his numbers don't look good. You think you can turn it around? I said, shoot, give me a week. I find out what's going on. I report back to you, and hey, whatever I need, you gonna give it to me, or you just saying, hey man, we don't have the budget, and it ain't gonna change nothing. He said, no, we'll help you. If I'm sending you, we're gonna help you. Because the captain over there is pulling his hair out, and he's a surface guy, and it's making the logistics guys look bad.
Right.
I said, well, shoot, I'll take it. I said, who's the supply officer? He's a guy who just made lieutenant. You know, we fleeted him up to take the supply officer slot. I said, I'll take it. I get over there. He's a snake. He's calling in like I'm Sims. Mm-hmm. Sims was messing up. I get there. He's calling the audit team on me. So when the audit team get there, they like, oh, damn. Kerry. I'm like, yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
I see y'all. It's like we might as well work in the same building. And he was doing it where I would come in to work and it would be tape across the door saying, do not open. Audit at 10 o'clock. I'm like, shoot. So I'm on the mess decks drinking coffee with my enlisted crowd. They like, man, they got us, man. I said, man, they ain't got us. What we got going on? Safes are good. Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. All the contracts are good. All the treasury checks accounted for. I said, man, y'all don't worry about nothing. We'll go up in here. What's they gonna do? They gonna fire somebody? I'll jump on a grenade. Don't worry about it. But I can't jump on a grenade if you done signed off in the book saying something.
Yeah, if you ain't telling the truth.
Right. If you signed off saying you checked this and you audited that, your own self-audit, then it better be like you said. I mean, that's just the way it is. Hey, man, they did that to me on all of them. Food service, everything. Hazmat, they tried to get me. They couldn't get nothing. Nothing. No old containers, no old bottles just laying around, nothing. They couldn't even get me on plastic, where you got to have all your plastic somewhere. You have a big machine, shrink it down, and it make hard little hockey puck type, but they big. All of that. The whole thing was clean. That's the way I roll, because I had took over from this food.
Right.
So I had a lot of cleaning to do and going through everybody's inventory. You know, we wasn't doing 15% inventory on all things, parts, aviation parts, engine parts, you know, stuff that may be owned by Northrop Grumman, stuff that's owned by, who make them, those Boeing, all the Boeing parts for helicopters and all this different stuff? No, man. I had to go through all of it, 100%. And then I would write down, hey, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. We got to get this stuff back. So everything that we had down, we had already went through. So when they come to try to find it, say, well, you don't have this. Hey, man, I got it right here. Captain done already sent you, see, signed off on it. This is legit, 100%. They went through, they couldn't get me. Well, man, I'm going to tell you, the captain was so happy with that. I went up to get my gold aviation, gold warfare pen. I only had to go through once. Most people have to do it like 3 times, 2, 3 times, 4 times. Kerry Baker did that shit once. And they tried to say, well, he messed up on a few answers here that should have probably been answered different. Captain was like, hey, it don't matter.
The results.
Yeah. This dude, he came in, he kicked butt. He done been sailing. Y'all acting like this dude just came in. He's actually enlisted. He a Mustang. So all this stuff y'all trying to do, he been doing. And he done proved it. Hey, man, I left there. I went and saw an admiral after I did that 1.5 years there.
And where was this again?
This was in Norfolk, Virginia. All I did was go across the street from Little Creek to Norfolk. Okay. They got more ships in Norfolk, but that's where they sent me, to the USS Trenton, LPD, I want to say 49, something like that. I can't remember, but USS Trenton is an LPD. I was on the LST, Lamar County in Little Creek. Then I went to LPD. Both of them Marine carriers. You know, Marine helos, Marine people. You got double dogs that you take on deployment. And Admiral Konieczny, I don't know how. I met him when I was enlisted in Hawaii. I was E4. And I used to be the guy to go over to where Hickam was in Pearl Harbor, because I worked the lab at Pearl Harbor, and he was the guy I'd always be at his dinners and distinguished visitor settings, and I would be the photographer. Well, lo and behold, he come through like at McDonald's or the Exchange, and I see him, and I'm like, because he looked like that comedian Don
Rickles.
Yeah. It was not Rickles. What's the other?
The skinny
one.
That's
it. It was not the guy that I get no respect. What's it?
I know exactly.
Yeah, I get no respect.
Yeah,
I can't think of that comedian's name.
It'll hit me.
And when it do,
you
come
some
back.
funny movies too.
Yeah, he got plenty of movies. So when I seen the Admiral man at the Exchange, I'm like, hey, Admiral. He's in civilian clothes. He's like, yeah, photo dude. He, how's Katara? How's Tara? He knew the kid's name. That's what's different between the 1%ers.
Yeah.
Those people that's in that level, I couldn't even believe it. I said, man, they fine. She works over here at the Air Force Base. You ain't talked to her to go in Navy yet? Like, no. I was at Little Creek and then I ran a ship aground. You ran it aground. Like, no, but I was on it. You know, he's like, you talking about Lemoore County? I'm like, yeah. He's like, listen, where you at now? I said, Trenton. He said, what you doing there? I said, shh. Still the same thing I did on Lemoore County. Now I'm doing it on Trenton. He's like, are you good at it? I said, I'm the best. He's like, okay, I want you to come to my office on Tuesday or whatever, at whatever time. I think I got something for you. Because it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And there's something that's guiding this entire journey again.
Right.
So I go to his office, everybody dressed in whites. I show up with some khakis on, got a little prime on it, look like I've been working, looking like Popeye. I'm like, oh shit. All these people sitting around in the room. Admiral comes out, he's like, photo dude. I'm like, yes sir. He's like, you made it. I'm like, yes sir. Hey, rest of you guys dismissed. I'm like, oh. He kicking them out so he can talk to me. It must be something like serious. He getting rid of his staff? No, they was there for the interview, dog.
Oh.
For a new ship that was coming out.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, you seen these photos before? I said, I've never seen them before. You ever seen a ship like this before? I said, never seen a ship like that before. He said, well, we have it in the base sometimes. He said, you come over here to my window and you look out there, it's probably out there running now. But it normally has this big old rooster tail shooting off the back. It's pretty high speed, go like 50 knots. I'm like, man, that's a hell of a lot more than the 15 knots I'm driving. He's like, yeah. He's like, I need a guy on there know what the hell they're doing. Got some experience. But the full bird captain on there, he don't want just a regular ensign coming out of the school. He wants somebody seasoned. I'm like, shoot, man, I got seasoned. I said, where is he out of? He said, Little Creek. I said, I see the crew there, meaning boxes and all, but I ain't seen the ship. He said, your ship is coming down from Rhode Island. It went up there for a visit. That's why you don't see it. I said, okay. I said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
He said, it's yours. I wasn't going to let you say you wasn't going to take it. So you go and you do well, and remember that you represent me. Don't make me look bad. I said, shoot, never that. Man, I took that thing. We went all over the world. East Coast, West Coast, Australia, down to Tasmania, all throughout the Asian areas. Took that thing all the way over there to West Africa, East Africa, Io, Indian Ocean. Stopped in Seychelles, stopped in Mombasa, stopped in Lamu, Somalia, taking special forces. Because then I had to get an interview from Special Forces because they want to make sure that you're a dude, a real dude. They don't want little whiny bitches. So you got to go slap dab with them. And the soft guys are like, oh, yeah, this one of ours. And you tell them, yeah, Texas, you can handle yourself with guns. Yeah, not a problem, man. Okay, cool. They send you to Blackwater training, do all that different stuff so you can be able to, draw and send rounds down range or get off the X. So it was a good time. I did 2 years with that ship. We finally end up turning it over to a different crew. Back to Australia where they make the ship. Turned it over to another U.S. crew that flew in. And then Kerry Baker was on his way up out of there. Remember, we on ship number 4. Only had shore duty once.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Yeah. So that one time in Hawaii, after coming off of a ship, you do the one time in Hawaii. Now you rolling through, because that was called Vincent there, then Hawaii, then you hit Lemoore County, then Trenton, now HSVX1. I finished with HSVX1, then went back and talked to the same captain that put me on the Trenton. He was getting ready to leave, and I told him, man, I need another ship. I want to fleet up. I know I did suppo over this, and he's the one that let me know, Kerry, there's a certain career path, and you're not on it. Now, you've done division officer, you've done department head, you've already done the suppo job. You can't do another suppo job on a small boat. You have to take care of the career and start doing things that get you toward admiral. So you have to go and do internships. You got to go kiss the ring. I'm like, internship. So then he said, I'm going to put you with a couple of captains at a fleet industrial center. And then when you work under them, then they can kind of see who you are, what you are, and they kind of help us decide how we elevate people. So I go there, and the first thing that the captain did there was I checked in. I'm only there 30 days. He writes me in and puts me in a group with guys who've been there for 3 years, and now I'm the lowest ranking on the evaluation for lieutenants.
Even though
I'm
you're
at
the
the
most,
bottom.
the most experienced.
Right. And I'm like, these guys here, since they've been here longer, you haven't seen what I can do, and you're supposed to give me 90 days, but you're going to give me a fitness report so that it bumps the numbers up so these guys look good. But you know what? Stranger things. I wasn't worried about that because I ain't here for that, no way. But where I think they did wrong was they said, well, you're going to be in charge of a logistics support officer. I didn't even know what that was. So I said, okay, I'll take it. But it was a white dude, Lieutenant Commander Armstrong, was like, Kerry, let me tell you something. Because he was my instructor at my school for supply. He just happened to leave Athens, Georgia, and he's there now. He was like, Kerry, this job is going to be challenging, man. I'm like, well, what's the difference in it? He said, when they call you LSO, you went from being a supply officer for one ship to being a supply officer for 110. I'm like, is that possible? He said, it's a lieutenant commander position, man. He's like, I don't know why they would do it, but I'm in the building. And so I come to see you to say, hey, man, this shit is not going to be no cakewalk. He said, 12-hour days? No, forget it. You're going to be 18. I said, why would he do me like that? He's like, dude, and maybe they hope you fail. I was like, shit, they ain't going to get me. I said, I'm that good. He said, I used to do that job when I first got here, but then they needed me over here in industrial to do shipyard stuff, to build and back engineer, whatever. I said, what's the job? He said, every ship, the ship only gets stuff because you delivering it. All of those orders that you did on the ship, when you put them in the system, they came here to you, where you are now. I said, those orders I sent came here, and then you guys did what you did at the industrial center and then pushed it out? He's like, yeah. He says, so all these people, these 100 and something people that work here, they're the ones filling those requisitions. I'm like, you lying. He's like, dude. So when the ship is getting ready to load out and leave and they don't get something, they're going to come back and say it's you. You got to do it where it's at least 90% good. I said, man, I do it 100. Dude, I was so cold that all my docks where trucks back up before they take the stuff to the ships and stuff. I'm out there every day talking to all the enlisted people, talking to them, hey man, what we got? Where we got some problems at? Boom, boom, boom. They tell me, hey, these things are on back order, but they got this stuff at Cherry Point. If we get Cherry Point to give us state stuff, hey man, give me the phone number. Talk to the guys out there at Cherry Point. Hey man, I'm putting the order in. I need you to give me what you got on your shelf, and my order is gonna have a delivery to you. You get it in about 5 days. All right. Hey, Bakes, man, we'll have a drink when I come up there. All right. Hey, man, on the phones all day long dealing with cats. Cats out to sea. They'd be all the way in Africa calling me. I'm like, hey, man, we've already transferred your package in the system to Suda Bay Creek or to Sigonilla. They're like, yeah, but they don't have it, Bakes. Come on, man. You can't do something for us? I was like, let me go see them old ladies with cat-eye glasses. Go in there, have them on the phone with me. Be like, hey, man, they way over there in Africa. Well, we've already passed them. We passed them on to the next guy. Well, any way you can change those customer tables in the system to give them back to us? They're like, Kerry. I'm like, can you do it? They be like, yeah. After you order, then switch the tables back and give it back to Sigonilla. Man, them old ladies switch that shit. I go to the other supply guys and enlisted guys, be like, hey, man, this ship right here, we need the orders put in for it now, delivery over there. Because you got it right here.
Right.
You got it in the warehouse. All we need to do is put in a pallet.
And get it to them.
Yeah. And you got an airfield right there. You got C-130s, C-5 Galaxies, all that. Go over there and talk to the Air Force guys. Tell them, hey, senior, hey, whoever the load master is, hey, man, can you put this on there? Hey, man, we were getting down like that. It was grimy. When they looked up, man, they were like, man, you getting accolades from so many, including submarines, all over the world. How are you doing that when they leave to deploy?
Wow.
I had to be honest. I said, change customer tables. The system in the computer it already, you have to, just like a ship, when you leave Second Fleet, because that's what the East Coast is, and you go into Fifth Fleet or you go into Sixth Fleet, don't matter which fleet, we have to, when the ships start leaving Norfolk heading across to England and to Europe, we change it over and say, okay, Fifth Fleet, you have them now. Or Sixth Fleet, excuse me, you have them now. And Sixth Fleet will be like, okay, we got them. And we all changing our systems. So now when the requisitions from the ship are put in the system, they go straight to the Sixth Fleet. They go to Sigonilla. And Sigonilla now is responsible for filling that order. But if the ship is saying, damn, man, it took me 3 weeks to get here and you still ain't got it, and you telling me you ain't gonna get it until I get to, say, Dubai,
Right.
that's when they are used to what they know. They got it. Their logistics support officer. Hey, Kerry, hey, man, what's going on? Where you at? I didn't even know y'all took off yet. Yeah, man, we still underway. Hey, I got a problem. Boom. What's the problem, man? Do y'all have this stuff in your warehouse? I'm like, hold on, look at it. Yeah, man, we got about 5 of them things. Can you send them to me? Across the water? Like, yeah. Yeah, man. Well, where you going? I tell you what, will you pick it up in Fujairah or Jebel Ali? I'll send it to a chief out there in Navy. I'll send it, because they got airfields out there. When the Air Force land and they got them pallets and stuff, or when them big world, whatever our subcontractors are, I say they'll land, the pallet will be there. Or the container. You want the container there? How we doing it? Shoot, man. Hey, that's how I took care of the business. And it worked that way the whole way. And of course, the Admiral, he's happy. He's hearing his things. It took another full bird captain to take over while I was there, along with another executive officer, which was a full bird, to see my greatness. And then I was number 1 on the list.
And what happened with the ones that thought that, well, we'll give you this job down here.
Right.
You're going to fail.
Yeah, I never left it. 3 years, and they normally swap them out after a year. 3 years, they left me in hell like that. Qatar and Tara, I was never home, and you would have thought I was at sea. It was so much so that I'm not even at home. Me and Tara don't even know each other, because I'm doing like 18-hour days. Because them ships, and if you have any issues, people got to get underway. But it just goes on and on, to the point to where Tara, moving with her career, decided to go to Navy OCS. She got selected, so she took off. I'm there with a child by myself, and when I have to be at work at 6, I was dropping guitar off at 5:30, and she would be in there from 5:30 all the way around to about 6, and then either I would pick up, give her to my man Gunn or something like that. So it was a community. And then even more so when Tara ended up coming out of there, graduating OCS, then going to a school for 6 months to be a logistics officer. So she gone for 9 months, give or take. When she got her first set of orders, that 6 months, I had to call her mama down. I had to tell her mama, hey, listen, I'll pay your rent at your house you at now. I'll cover your car note. Everything you paying for, you come here and you stand in as a grandmother, a wife of sorts, and take care of her, and I'll pay everything. And I did that. And so when Tara was gone, her mama came through and lived with me in Qatar, and I was still rocking and rolling. They did me like that for 3 years, but it wasn't like it bothered me, because I was in it. I was, you know what I mean? I was committed to it. I was sick with it.
Yeah.
Then when I left, got ready to leave there, my time to be number 1. And I didn't make it to February. My bosses, the 2 new bosses that like me, well, they're not going to move me from LSO if they already getting all the
accolades. Yeah. They're going to mess up a good thing.
Yeah, why they going to mess up? They go sit around with the other commanders. They're like, man, you guys are rocking. So I mean, to the point to where if you got a carrier being loaded out, there's probably 200 tractor trailers. Me and my crew are bringing all them tractor trailers through, because we have to make sure until final destination that it get there. But we never missed a loadout. Never. Then it comes time to roll. Me and Tara, we gonna split. Cause like I said, I don't know her, she don't know me, and I don't feel like putting up with a broad run their mouth. That's one thing. When you in your alpha or sigma moment, there's nothing around that can be soft. But my woman better be. If I come home and I don't have peace when I get home, then I think real quick, I'm gonna get rid of your ass because I'm about my purpose. But that's probably selfish because I got a child. So there I'm probably wrong. You know what I mean? But that's the way my mind was. And so when they were talking to me about orders, they wanted me to stay in Norfolk, Virginia until February so they could give me the number 1 slot so to help your chances of making commander, say something like that. And I said, hey man, it's time to go. I've been here, I did my 36 months, it's time to go. So of course I did a couple more months past that because I had to wait till it's time to go. But talking to those captains, the captain at Atlantic Fleet was right. These guys can see who you are and what you are and how they believe you are an asset to the community. Mm-hmm. They talked me into, they said, you took too many ships, you done this job, but you need to do more officer type job because you got to get away from the work and into the planning, into the analysis, we got to develop you different because one day if you wearing full bird or flag, you got to have all of this behind you. It's
big
just
picture stuff.
Yeah. And so they said, we're going to send you to Mechanicsburg. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go up there. And the captain was like, you got to go pay your penance just like all of us did. What that is that's where the head of the logistics officers are for the Navy. In other words, you got to go up there and I was like, oh man. The job's gonna be hard. We're gonna make it where gonna be in charge of the entire weapons ordnance. I would say inventory in the Navy. So everything from Long Beach, California, all the way to the tunnels of Italy, all of that, you're gonna be that guy. It's an internship. So I went up there to do that 2 years. I took Katara with me. And we took off. The entire, later when she finished with the USS George Washington, she took orders and went to the Admiral staff up there and as a contracting officer because she went to school and got it for contracting. So she's a contractor by trade within the logistics community.
Gotcha.
Whereas me, I'm an operations officer for logistics in our community. In other words, guys like me serve with EOD, Navy SEALs, any kind of expeditionary where I go on land because only certain people can do that because most people get there and be like, man, they stressed or they can't figure out how to make it work.
Right.
Where people like me, that's why I'm in that field. In those fields, they don't go as high as Tara could have went. They make it to Admiral in my field, but operations specialist guys, we make it to full bird maybe. But the people who go higher where you can be in the Office of Management Bureau and all that, those are contracted background people because you have to know law.
Right.
So most of our admirals within the Supply Corps have a pedigree for contracting. Those of us who do expeditionary, I mean, it's kind of expendable like Rambo, but every now and then you do see operators get up there. So I leave, I go, I do my internship with all the ordnance and stuff like that. How much can we give to this ship? Who we gotta buy? We gotta buy something from the Army to fill our magazines so we can support this group or whatever. So I go do that for 2 years. I met Crystal while I was up there. In the last few months I was up there, I met Crystal. Then I left there because a supply officer I left Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and went to Norfolk, Virginia I went to Little Creek to be with SEAL Team 4.
Back to Little Creek.
Yeah, I went back. But not because I like Little Creek. Mm-hmm. The captain, Dan Marler, is an expeditionary guy like me, and he had just came back from, the desert, and Bob was like, hey, Kerry, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to head down to Norfolk. I'm like, man, I still got like 6 months on the internship. He's like, no, you don't. I said, well, I got all these signatures. I got to get signed off. He said, consider them done. He said, I need you to go down because me and you are the same. We operators. I got a guy down there at SEAL Team 4 that killed his wife, and we got to replace him, and we got to replace him now. And they're getting ready to go on deployment. I'm like, you kidding? I was like, that's a supply officer slot. I've already done that.
Right.
He's like, I said, so it'll stop me from, probably prevent me from making lieutenant commander. He's like, no, it won't. I know who sits the boards. I mean, he was just like that. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Are you willing to go down there and take care of us?
Okay.
I'm like, well, Captain, you over here with me in this area. What do you have to do with Little Creek? He said, because I am an expeditionary officer. So when the captains and the admirals in the spec warfare community, the SEALs, ask me personally, what should I do? Can you help me? Because they know I'm the guy that goes with them. I tell them I got somebody. And you, that's somebody. I said, well, I never served with expeditionary. He's like, yeah, you did. When you was helping the Marines and you was riding them boats, that's expeditionary. I said, but it ain't. He said, yeah, I get your point. Where you out there on your own. He said, but who else can do it? I said, well, you call the right guy, man. Enough said. Next day, he gave me a Navy Achievement Medal, signed off on all my stuff, said this stuff will make it to your record jacket. I need you to get on down and go down there. I went down there, drove from Pennsylvania, drove down there, checked in with SEAL Team 4. They tell me what the issue is. The XO, he didn't like me, but the captain, he did, which was a commander, like I am now, but he's a commander then, and he made it to Admiral. And he said, okay, Kerry, it's unfortunate that this guy did this. You know about it? I said, man, you made me check it out on the news when they told me about it. And it looks like same guy parked his car in the forest area, Little Creek area, and the wife was in there and tried to claim he didn't know. And somehow the wife was reported to want to tell that he was gay in the military, and it would have messed up his reputation. Yeah, and he killed it for it. Yeah. And the boyfriend, the gay boyfriend, is the one who told him, yeah, I'm on point. So they said, okay, well, we're going to end up sending you back to Blackwater, get you trained up. You know, Blackwater, they got to where you got these master chiefs, scene chiefs out there. They have a trailer load of pigs, and they let them out, and you might have 10 hogs. They shoot them. Hogs don't die just off of a shot. They might hit them with, a 9 mil. It don't matter with a hog. He still, as long as you hit them in the heart, they survive.
Yeah.
And you were using those cadavers as real people. So you got to go in there and learn how to do the first aid after your classes. They teach you how to stop the blood. You're going to quick clot it. You're going to stuff the womb. You're going to wrap it up. You're going to pick them up. You and another soldier, sailor, Marine, or Delta Force, because they with you. And y'all going to run, get off the X with your comrade, and you can return fire. So they teach you that. They teach you driving cars, how to go backwards, spin that bitch around, take off real hard, how to pit maneuver somebody, and all of that to get out off of the X until you can get backup forces on you. So we were learning all that, even hot wiring cars, if it cuts off from where you ram somebody with the back, where the buttons are, and the vehicles to reset the fuel systems and stuff. So did all that and got ready for deployment with Team 4. Of course, the XO, he's on me every day. Are the containers ready? Do we have everything we need? This, that, and the other. Yeah, I got the checklist. Is the stuff in? All of it's not in yet. When you gonna get in? It ain't up to me. The LSO for you guys, these guys, and they can only give me my requisitions when they get them. Whereas it's something you can do? Yeah, it's something I can do. I can cannibalize from other units, but that's what your LSO gonna do anyway. But yeah, I can do it. And so we leave on deployment. I think they're not used to somebody telling the truth. Kerry, we're supposed to have 1,800 lithium batteries for the night vision and stuff like that. Do we have it? No, you got 500. If we're going to leave without that, you're going to leave without that, sir. We're all leaving. Well, what are we going to do? Don't worry about it. When we get our feet on the ground over there, and I got my Dodax and I got my money, we're going to get those batteries. We're going to get them from Bahrain. We're going to get them because now I'm with the real Navy when I get out there. Yeah. I said, we're going to get them from Jebel Ali. We're going to get them from somewhere because my people still in position out there. So me and 400 people working for logistics take off to head to Iraq.
What year was this?
Man, that was 2007.
Okay.
2007. So I was the internship was 2005. Then I made it almost to 2007. I met her in 2006, meaning Crystal. I leave, come to Virginia, and so 2007 is time for me to pack them out, load them out, get ready to take off. And only being there a few months, I've got a joint manning document where I have to put down what kind of personnel I need, and we're going to be doing Tier 1 work for JSOC and for 75th Ranger Regiment. So we weren't going on a SEAL team deployment, we're going on a Delta Force deployment, but the Deltas, the perimeter guys, are regular SEALs, and then the college ball guys, the Team Sixers and Deltas, are the guys that are, out front. But we are taking care of the lightweight, which it ain't no lightweight because we had 430 captures and kills. But since we're going to do that, I go down to Bragg and I talk to some of the supply officers that's down there with Deltas. And so they, of course, are operators. So they tell me, hey, in the operations world, these are our hubs right here. If you ain't loaded out with that, we're going to do it with this. You use our money for that. You use your money for this. Hey, you good? You got any problem? You call a little old lady with cat eye glasses. She'll kind of get you straight, and then you boom, boom, boom. Hey, and those are trips on my own. That ain't no TDY. That's giving a fuck and driving 3.5 hours, 4 hours down there to talk to them boys that do it all the time and say, how you doing it? Exactly how are you doing it? And they give you the lay of the land. And they said, now that you got all the other experience for all them other ports and places where we are, you know how to go and contact them for all these little extras. So that's how that happened, brother. So I get downrange. The whole thing goes off without a hitch. Everything the SEAL Team 4 needed, they had. Me managing 430 people or thereabout was difficult because I had to manage these 400 people in 3 different areas. I had to deal with the South America component because SEAL teams are made up of 3 units, platoons, but they kind of like battalions. One will go to Africa, one went to South America, and one went to Iraq, Afghanistan. So this is the group that I went with because the CO is not going to let his supply officer be somewhere else. When he got something, he wanted fixed now.
Right.
So I got chiefs in the other slots, master chiefs, other chiefs that may be in Africa, South America, and I'm the only logistics officer. So we get where we were, didn't have no problems, came in behind a guy who is probably going to make Admiral, came in behind Shannon. He was an Air Force E4, and then he came through OCS. We went through together. So Shannon is who I did a turnover with out in Iraq. So that made it easy. And he a cool brother. I mean, Shannon, he's very, very smart. But he gave me his gouge. Cool, I got it. I had it. Because our turnovers is one day. It's not like I got a week with him.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that